Looking for music that lifts your spirit and fills your heart? Experience the powerful sound of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. Now streaming on all your favorite music platforms. Find the Tabernacle Choir on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Pandora. Let the music of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square inspire you today and every day. Whether you're at home, in the car, or on the go, enjoy the beauty of their world-renowned sound anytime. The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, streaming now.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
We're all locked in now.
Your home for the best sports radio in Utah is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It's time to kick off your afternoon drive with Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Allow me to introduce the best of the best.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your day. No Ben Anderson today, so sitting in for the first hour, which you are very kind to do so. The one and only, the coach, Tim LaComb. My co-host for Jazz Pre-Half and Post, and of course co-host of Scotty G and the Coach every day from 10 to 2. You're very kind to stick around because I know you have a plane to catch.
Twist my arm. It's either that, drive out the airport and sit there or hang out with a buddy.
Well, you are a Sky Club guy, I'm sure, so it's nice of you to,
you're
to
fine.
give that time to me.
I don't need all that time over there. So this is great, and I'm happy to help. It's great to be with you.
The snack mix they do over there is pretty.
Love it.
Is pretty tasty.
Not gonna lie, I think my favorite's like the peculiar shaped one that always seems to work its way in, and I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what it is. In that mix, it's phenomenal.
I'm a terrible traveler. Anxiety. I'm just awful. But here's the thing, though. You had to travel so much for your coaching career. I mean, traveling, on the move, flying, doing the whole thing. My father was that way, and he's recently retired. He traveled a lot for his career. He really misses it. Do you miss it?
I do not miss it. I was always fairly anxious, and it was an awful thing to try. And I don't know why. I mean, for me, once I got through, I think it's just breaking routine for me. Mm-hmm. I like routine. And so, I told my wife yesterday, I said, I used to do this 2 to 3 times a week. And I don't know, I can't remember the last time I got an airplane, honestly, for me, a couple of years anyway. So I'm excited to go see it. Once I get through security, I'll be
You'll be all right. It'll be good to go.
Yeah, that's typically where it starts to cut off.
And we're going to your old hometown.
Yeah, we are. We are actually a field that used to reside near me. That Frisco was just, as far as you could see, it was just field. And now they've built quite a city out there. I sound like an old guy. They've really done well.
You should hear me talk about the Wasatch Front. I remember when there was 3 distinct cities, Provo, Salt Lake, and Ogden.
Now
it's not. No. It was let me tell you about Bluffdale when the prison was the only thing out there. Now not even the prison is there.
Not
anymore.
even the prison's there. That's fixing to blow up out there though.
Well, yeah, because we've got a great community. Christian is here. How was your 250, Christian? Did you have a good time?
It was great. Yeah, went to a buddy's house. They had a pool set up in their backyard. Great day in the sun.
Did you grill it up?
He did. Yeah.
Oh, you surrendered the...
I'm not going to... Well, if it's at somebody's house, I'm not going to take over the grill, At my own house, yeah, don't touch my grill.
My wife was super, she wanted to grill on the 4th. She's like, what's more American than grilling? And it's like, okay. And we hung out with some people that came over. I felt a lot of pressure not to screw up. We did burgers and kind of some steaks.
Burgers are kind of tricky if you don't prep them.
And
right.
I just don't want to be...
That guy.
And I'm not going to ask somebody else to do it.
You're not going to surrender your spatula.
And, of course, the thermometer at the place we were at didn't work. So I had to eyeball it, which is never a good way to go. Although I feel like I'm going into Scotty G and the Coach territory here, talking about food preparation.
No. That was a previous show. We don't talk about it as much unless Bar WV's involved.
Well, I heard Scotty talking about getting after it for the company party.
Well, yeah. When he starts talking, though, I just sit back in my chair because I don't have a lot to add. I'm not well schooled in that area.
I think most people should have some sort of hobby. You have hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
Scotty's got two good ones. He's lawn guy, which is a good, productive, like contribute to the household hobby. And then he's also barbecue guy, which kind of accomplishes the same thing. But the fact that his hobby is now competing in those competitions, pretty rad.
Who knew?
Shout out to Scotty G, and he is good at it.
You know R&R barbecue, right? You've had that before.
Yeah.
That whole thing started, two guys in the mortgage crunch and couldn't pay their bills anymore and started a circuit. Two brothers.
Worked out all right.
Went out there and then developed the restaurant, sold it, and he lives in Cabo now.
Well, maybe Scotty ends up in Cabo someday.
He has the fair skin temperament for that. Can you imagine him all tanned out?
No.
Like, what's up, guys?
in a flowered shirt.
Sorry, Scotty, I know you're listening.
With some flip-flops. Yeah, I could see that for Scotty. He could pull that off.
Hey,
maybe
do you know where the luau is?
I've got a bucket hat that I like to wear.
Oh, I love a bucket.
Scotty would have a good bucket going on, hanging out in Mexico. Yeah, I could see that.
I appreciate a good bucket hat, and those that wear them, I always see one. It's like when buses pass each other.
Well, sun management
kind of give them a wink
is a thing. I have two very loud bucket hats, and you know why I wear them all the time now? Like I wore it to Disneyland because my kids can spot me. If you're in a crowd or whatever and you get a little separate, I'm the easiest guy to spot. I'm the one in the big loud
and probably a tie-dye shirt knowing you.
Yeah, easy.
That's my guy.
You know, that's so we hope everybody out there did have a happy 250 and celebrated accordingly. I didn't see if there were many firework fires.
There were a few. I saw Provo had a incident.
Have a flare up?
Yes.
How did the good folks at Murray do? Did they restrain themselves?
I did not feel like in Provo where I lived, I usually felt like I was under attack between July 4th and 24th.
Yeah,
it's just a free-for-all down there.
Well, you're right there by the, what do they call it, Stadium of Fire.
I'm by the Stadium of Fire. I'm by Rock Canyon Park. So there's just fireworks until all hours of the night, usually. And obviously this year I haven't been down there. But
this
Murray,
year was
I
a little
didn't feel
calmer?
that. I felt big fireworks from somewhere. You know,
Murray Park, I'm sure, had something.
But other than that, we just hunkered down and
made it happen.
Yeah, and after a certain hour, the fireworks stopped, which was great.
Christian has a newborn, and I just remember how angry I was at people when I had a newborn.
Just get them down
and because in my neighborhood, fireworks haven't been allowed for a long time, and so
you're
I feel like I have
bad.
I have the right to be grumpy. Were there many?
There was fireworks, but we have him sleep with the white noise machine,
which
that drowns everything out. So he has not woke up at all from the fireworks.
Those white noise machines are absolutely magic.
Yeah, and there was one night where we had him sleep in the other room, like to try it out, and we didn't have the white noise machine, and we couldn't sleep anymore because we got used to having that on.
So the baby's moved to another room now, huh?
We tried it out.
How'd it go?
Not quite ready to do that.
Oh, yeah,
my wife missed having him in the room. She was the one that wanted to bring him back. She's like, I think we should still have him in here. So not quite yet.
Not to dwell on this too much, but I have two kids. One was not in our room at all. From day one, came home, separate room. Second one was in our room for like the first 6 months of her life.
And is still?
No.
Oh, she's good now.
She's definitely good, but it was the worst. It was the worst sleeping 6 months of my life that I had. And I swear we woke her up tit was just not productive for anybody.
I was working with you at the time. And you would talk to me about often you'd get kicked in the face in the middle of the night or, it was just cramped quarters.
The worst. Well, that was more when she was, a toddler. But yeah, having kids is the best, especially when they stay in their own bed. That's nice. And it's across the hall.
Yes, absolutely. I was the worst. If my kid made one sound, I was in there. Are you okay?
Oh, yeah, right.
My wife, yeah. The reason our kids didn't sleep well was fully my fault.
That was all you?
Yeah. I was the one saying, let's just keep them in the room for longer.
No, I was not that person. I was definitely not that. Get this kid out of my room.
What have we done? This is crap my lifestyle.
All right, Coach. Are people... everybody's excited. We'll get to the World Cup and stuff, and it's controversial and all that. But everybody around here is so excited about the debut of Darryn Peterson. And I appreciate the qualifiers that you and Scotty talked about because I do not like Summer League, and I don't think you can draw any sort of conclusions. But he was pretty great in his debut.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to choose, you'd probably choose them being good rather than being bad. But I mentioned I watched Wemby out there. The first 2 games he played a Summer League, and we had heard this tidal wave, and everybody said this is going to be the guy. And his first 2 games, he had a hard time even staying on his feet. I mean, and this was against Summer League competition. So a way I view this is, and you know this better than me because you've been doing it longer, but this is a long process. Cody Williams, for the first time in 3 years, is starting to feel like he's got something, and that's 3 years that he's been at this. So while things come easier to Darryn, and I do believe his body is such that he's not going to have to get stronger to compete like some guys we've seen come in. And I think his offensive game is advanced enough to where you're not going to see him get backed into too many corners. Those are the things I take from it. Where he goes from here, though, again, that's all up to him. That's all up to how things fall. But, yeah, first debut, nothing more than that. He did what he said, he would do. It was truth in advertising.
I think that was my biggest takeaway is he had – Summer League's kind of funny because you see different players treated differently, right?
Totally.
You see players not take it very seriously. You see the Rudy Rudiger types that are playing for their careers.
For their family name.
And frankly, the number 2 pick doesn't really need to take it all that seriously. They don't. And I've seen high draft picks not take Summer League all that seriously, even in their rookie year. But he played like he had something to prove because of all the chatter around his time in Kansas, and this was the first time that he had a chance to show, like, no, I'm really a guy that you should have taken me number 1. I should have been the number 1 pick. I'm the best player in this class, and this was his first opportunity to show it. And I don't think it proves that anybody's arrived, but it proved that he's motivated. I like that.
And from that, the part that I hate about Summer League, I saw an article this morning about somebody inside the Washington Wizards organization after the fact, after this game, reportedly said, man, we're starting to wonder if we got the right guy. Like that is the most ridiculous thing.
Well,
AJ hasn't even been able to play a game yet.
It's so unfair.
Can he play?
And we're going to see him play each other, right?
And he'll be great. I was impressed with Boozer. He played the other night, and tonight the Jazz will Darryn and Boozer will get to play tonight. So that will be a great opportunity right up here on the hill.
And why Kurt Helin was in town, and you got a chance to talk to him.
He was awesome, man.
He's really good.
He really knows it. I love how he's into the details and the history. Knows stuff like that's one thing I love about you is the way you've got a pedigree. When you've done this job, you can, like I'll never forget the Jaren Jackson trade because I was sitting here listening to it. And you just have such a wide swath. So it's nice to talk to people that don't just have a, current understanding of how the NBA works, but long term. And I feel like Kurt does that.
You know what's funny about writers is sometimes it's a bit of a roulette on if they have a personality or not.
Oh yeah,
because you can write articles, which is in itself a wonderful skill to be a good writer. But that does not mean that you're have a magnetic personality, that you understand that you have to come on and be interesting and you can crack a joke once in a while. And Kurt Helin's he's got a personality, you know what I mean?
Oh, I love talking to him on the phone and then just getting him in here, Bro,
where'd you tell him to go?
Of course. What do you think? Right here, close.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had never been. It was a Majerus favorite. I said, you ought to try it. He said, I'm not trying to get his physique. I said, well, cut yourself some slack today because it'll be worth it.
They are good. Rick did. He loved those.
Lived there. Like he would actually have them delivered during practice. And like somebody come running, and this is before Uber Eats. But he had somebody sequestered that would just run at a whim and get food. And they'd come in, knock on the door, and I'd get the food, and I'd have to find a place for him to eat it. I made the mistake the first time of walking into the gym with the food. That wasn't good.
No.
It's like, get that out of here.
Oh, really?
Because it was secret. He didn't want the players to know while they're shooting free throws. He was inhaling 2 of those.
You know what's funny when I hear you talk about Rick Majerus and you think of his behavior and lifestyle, you ever wonder what you would be like if you didn't have any rules? Like the rules of society just don't apply to you for some reason, and how would you behave?
Like maybe take my Ford Explorer that's given to me and use the sidewalks on campus as a thoroughfare? You mean that?
Park on the grass.
Like that?
Like that?
Yeah, live in a hotel. I mean, it feels like he just didn't. The normal rules just didn't apply to that guy. You know,
Didn't wear underwear most of the time.
He just did whatever he wanted.
It was just a thin layer of gabardine.
Didn't mind scratching on television, if that makes any sense.
No, dude.
No, like the rules just didn't apply to that guy. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not going to mention who, but there was a really high-level crop of recruits when Rick got here in the state of Utah. Okay?
Okay.
And so Rick goes around on his Meet the Coach tour, and I happen to be friends with a couple of the guys, and so I've gotten this report secondhand, but I trust it.
Uh-huh.
So it was quite a drive to one of these spots from Salt Lake. And so I guess he rings the doorbell, the door's open, they've got all this food for him and everything. And the first thing out of his mouth was, JC, that's a long drive down here. And then he walks into the front room and commences to throw his feet up on the coffee table, and he's just wearing shorts. So in the first 5 minutes, he's pretty much lost the crew, and they had to figure out how to get through the meal because they knew that's not where they were going to go.
This is not going to be.
Yeah, he didn't do much research on the local culture, and maybe some do's and don'ts.
Oh, that's funny. He did win a lot.
He won a lot, and he did it his way for sure.
He knew ball,
and he knew ball as good as anybody I've been around in my whole life. Like that guy, for me, that was almost the cheat code. I feel like I had a really great understanding of the game that was maybe different from other people in the way they approached it.
Well, the rest of the basketball world would agree with you that he was one of the best basketball minds. It was funny working with Britton for so long because wherever he'd go in the NBA universe, he'd have his coaches come up and talk, what it was like playing for Majerus. Like when Britton played for Doc Rivers, because Doc, of course, knew Rick Majerus going back to his youth days.
Gave him the nickname. And so everybody was always curious what it was like to play for Rick Majerus because he knew ball. And those U teams were incredibly disciplined and skilled. I mean, look who I'm telling. But, I mean, you got a front row seat for all of it. Do you know that feeling of when you're a kid of coming up the stairs and you feel like somebody's chasing you? And you're that's what working for Rick was like.
I bet.
All the time.
24/7.
24/7.
But I'm sure he did that on purpose.
Oh, he created an absolute culture of chaos. Just created it, and I think the purpose of it is, like he tell the guys all the time, I can prepare you. We're going to take all this time to prepare, but the game is chaos.
Well, you talk about players, what it was like to play for Urban Meyer. He had very similar tactics.
Guys were at the trash cans that first practice. I heard it was a beauty. But yeah, it's every single guy is going to approach it different. I think we're probably on the tail end of guys like Rick. They could push it that far and get away with it,
Well, if you want to bring it full circle, should we be surprised that Darryn Peterson and Bill Self allegedly didn't mesh all that well there at Kansas? Probably not. Kind
of similar old school tendencies, having guys go out there and kill themselves running a mile and Hell Week and all that. I think the game's a little more thoughtful. The guys are all working with trainers who have things mapped out for them. So for some of them, that's quite a departure from how they've trained in the past.
Imagine a guy in that toupee yelling at you to run.
I mean, I bet he was sweating.
I'd tell him no. I mean, I'm not doing that.
You can really tell is when a game gets tight and the sweat starts going. the lines are a little more evident. I love our secret. I love our little, the things we talk about.
Oh, man. All right. We'll have more coming up next. Coach LaComb's going to stick around for the next few segments. We're going to talk to PK a little bit later on in the show. We're going to talk to John Kurtz, who hosts a Big 12 podcast. Todd will be on the show at the top of 3 o'clock hour. So we're very busy on a Jake and Ben show on a Monday, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Best thing that's ever happened to you financially. Go.
Easy. Sold my car on Carvana. Amazing offer.
Really? I hit 200 on a scratcher.
Did the scratcher come to your house and hand you a check?
No.
How many scratchers did you hit to get that? I hit a button on Carvana.com once.
Okay, that's fair.
It's like the lottery, except you always win.
Not like the lottery at all, actually.
Exactly. Inexplicably good. Offers worth bragging about. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Ben is out today. Coach LaComb, nice enough to stick around for an hour. Appreciate that. I did get a chance to see Ozzy once before he passed. I'm assuming you saw Ozzy probably more than once.
I never saw Ozzy, just Ozzy. But I did see Black Sabbath.
I did as well. It was Black Sabbath when they did the reunion tour.
Out here in Salt Lake. And did you see him in Salt Lake?
At America First. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I did too.
I was at that show.
That Sunday night. It was a Father's Day. It was on Father's Day.
Yeah.
I was there.
That was fun.
I was in a wig. Trying to blend in.
I was shocked how well he could still sing.
He was great.
They
were great. Like, that was, honestly, I've been to a million shows, but he brought it that night.
He didn't even move. Like, he just stood up there, but still wailed it out.
Do you remember the part? So, in the very beginning, they had those air raid sirens and stuff going, and they had a spotlight from the back, and you just saw him with his cape. I mean, it was so epic, man. It was, I'm glad I was there.
Time for the top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. It's brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, Darryn Peterson impressed everybody in his Salt Lake Summer League debut. They're going to be taking on Cam Boozer and the Grizzlies tonight.
28 points, Coach. Efficient, 11 of 21 shooting, 4 of 7 from 3, 5 boards. He had 8 turnovers, which needs to button that up a little bit. But all in all, an extremely impressive debut for the Jazz rookie. Let me ask you this, Coach. I had my buddy Tony, who lives in Texas, is a huge Jazz fan, so he'll text me about opinions and that stuff. And he asked me what I thought about Peterson, and I said the Jazz have never had anyone like him. Would you agree with 100%. That take?
Yeah, I said that the night they drafted him. I think his athletic and everything else, like, he's the most complete guy they've drafted. A guy that he doesn't have to make any changes to his body. He's like a man's strength. But if you're talking about what I'm talking about, it's his ability to get to the paint at will, get to the rim at will. I mean, that is, as you know, a big-time commodity and something he possesses.
Well, combine that with a guy who can really shoot it. I mean, what a stroke.
What a stroke. I mean, his step back there, he made 2 shots in crunch time, but the step back to his left, I mean, seriously, I'll put his footwork up in that against anybody, and it's just year one. I talked to a bunch of people, and, one of the biggest things that NBA people, like execs and stuff, they hate overreactions, good or bad. I mean, the last couple of years, speaking of that game, you and I have watched Cody Williams just fight for his life.
Yep.
And all the way knowing he didn't have the toolkit he needed. I mean, he was just out there because that's the way it works. He's an older guy. If he waits another year of college, he probably misses a window. So he goes, and he's taking his lumps. But, man, was he great the other night. And it just speaks to some guys like Darryn. They have a lot of those things early. Cody has to work at them. It's why development is not linear.
No, and his stuff, he really needed to grow. Well, you just needed to get bigger.
Yeah.
And that seems to be headed in the right direction. And I thought Ace Bailey played well in his 20 minutes and, showed that, hey, maybe I'm a little above Summer League now.
Oh, Ace was great. And, I heard this summer, shared it on our show, but I'll share it with you guys. I I was talking to somebody inside the organization, and they basically said been doing it forever, and they'd never seen a kid approach his rookie season with the level of willingness and humility that Ace did last year. And it's funny because you and I saw it. Like night one, I think we both had expectations this kid's going to come out and just fire bad shots up, and to the contrary, he was not stellar in his debut, but I remember us talking about the fact that he didn't go out there and force things that weren't there. So I think Ace's ability to read the room, and then, he's just working, dude. He's here in town. He's in that gym. He's in that weight room. And I do believe Ace is on the front end of what we saw with Keontae. He's going to have a leap.
He needs one. I mean, and I kind of wondered, the attention all last year was, how good could Ace be? And all this energy that is now going to Darryn Peterson was going to Ace Bailey last year. And I wonder how he reacts to kind of the shift in the narrative, if that really motivates him to take that next step that you're talking about.
I would bet there's a motivation for sure, but, I don't think there's any threat by it by any means. I think he sees it because they talk about it in the building a lot. They want to win a championship. And these guys are smart enough because they go out. One of the things they want to do is draft smarter guys that pass the, more so than just A to B. They want them to understand nuance of the game. And even it doesn't hurt to have that off the court either. But I think they have a bunch of talented guys that understand that this can't work if everybody gets exactly what they want. And so you've got to have the ability to be willing to sacrifice and give. And I think the Knicks just put that on full display for us. And I think that's what the Jazz are trying to do.
And then the Jazz did add a wing defender, Josh Okogie, who spent last year in Houston, agrees to a 2-year, $12 million deal with the Jazz. Any thoughts on his fit? I've
liked him as he's come through town. I think if you're talking about a guy that can really get after it on the defensive side, I think Josh can do that. I think certainly ability to shoot the basketball is important, especially if you're a defensive guy. To be able to do two things like that. And I do believe that he's at 36%, if I remember looking right. I'm not Mike Smith. It doesn't just go in there and lock, but I did look at it. And so shoots the ball well enough. And I just like as he's come through town with different teams, he's notable because of his effort.
And the Jazz can use a little bit of that to rub off on their young players, certainly.
Yeah.
And they need somebody who's going to go out there and stop. I kind of think that their last in the league defense these last couple of years was intentional, but they do need some guys who are going to set the defensive tone when the trying commences.
I think principles were taught defensively, but it's just hard to, to not have last year for particularly rim protection.
At all.
Yeah, no rim protection. This is something I read on Josh. It says Okogie's defensive impact is highlighted by his active hands ability to guard multiple positions, particularly regarded for creating turnovers and providing energy.
What's next?
Number 2, Big 12 Media Days begin tomorrow. Got the whole crew heading out to Frisco.
Yeah, PK is going to be out there. You and Scotty. I'm going to be out there, and we're going to have it covered for you top to bottom. Are there any storylines or anything you're curious about particularly, Coach?
I'm curious to see how the Sorsby thing, I think enough time has gone by, and I think the result was correct. But I'm just curious how much of that's going to linger.
I think a lot of it.
And questions asked about it.
Well, I think relationships at least changed. I don't know if you want to say damaged, but it was Texas Tech taking on the rest of the league. You guys had Brian Santiago on the day after that contentious call with the athletic directors happened. And Brian said all the right things. But if you kind of saw what sifted out through the media about what that call was really like, it was everybody taking on Texas Tech. And so I wonder, I actually thought Bert Yormark navigated that really well, considering it was such a touchy situation. And the best possible thing happened, and Sorsby just went away. That was the best possible outcome. But I'm curious if there's any fallout. How are those Texas Tech guys going to be strutting around? Is Cody Campbell going to be there? Because he was there last year. So all those things, those little subtle storylines are kind of what makes media days interesting. What everybody, it's not just, the interviews, but it's what everybody's talking about down there. Last year it was Texas Tech and their giant purse and
how they went and bought
team,
that defensive line.
Yeah, best team money can buy. I think Sorsby will be very present and at media days. But I'm curious. We can ask PK about this later in the show, but I'm curious to talk to the Utah guys about the change in coaching and how much of the culture is still the same and how much of the culture has changed.
Man, I'm getting a good vibe from just watching the guys they're signing and the abundance of guys, particularly locally. They're winning real battles with recruiting. So certainly we understand the power of positivity in Morgan Scalley. I mean, I think that's who he is. But I think he's way more than that. I think he's a football coach, and he's a darn good one. And now he gets to prove move over a couple steps, wear a little bit louder whistle. I don't know what else you do in football, but, you're in charge now. And so I'm excited to see him take this challenge on.
When Coach Witt initially took the job, and he talked about this, he was pretty open about it, but what he took from Coach Mack, and then what he took from Urban Meyer, and then of course he'll talk to you about what he took from his dad, and then how he molded that together for his own philosophy. I'm really curious to see what Morgan does similarly. I mean, how much does he keep from Witt? Morgan played for Urban Meyer, so how much has he taken from Urban Meyer, and how much does he put his own spin on it?
The one thing I can tell is seems to be more smiles. I think culturally, Witt is a guy who likes mystery and smoke and intrigue, and it works for him. But I think in terms of Morgan's, I think it's just more like there's just more feeling of openness up there. So I'm excited for him. I saw in a preseason poll, and I mentioned this on our show, BYU Utah all over the top 3 or 4 in most things I've looked at. So I'm excited to see how the predictions come out. LJ Martin was released today, I guess, as the Offensive Player of the Year. So I think that's the right choice, and I think BYU's trajectory took a different pitch knowing he's coming back.
All right, Christian, what's next?
Number 3, take that red card away. Team USA is going to be at full strength tonight against Belgium.
Balogun is...
How do you feel about it?
So
I
honestly have so many thoughts on it, which is so funny because it's the story that's dominating everything. But my first take is this is just yet another reason to get rid of replay.
Oh, gosh.
Because that's the excuse they're using, right? That they didn't use the VAR correctly, so that it was in slow motion or something, and so that's why they're
looked more egregious,
rescinding the red card or whatever. But we need to get back to where refs make terrible calls, and then we just all move on with our lives. Now we've got presidents that are getting involved and making phone calls and
I'd love to hear that one.
And I mean. You know what? I'm excited for Team USA. Good, they're going to be better on the field. I'm pulling for them. Go get them. But it's just so silly. You know what? We're so out for justice in the sports world. We'll just go to any length. And at what end? You know what? Your team gets screwed once in a while. Let's all move on with our lives. Dick Bavetta existed. Jazz fans have had to live with it, and they're okay. The sun came up tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the hard part about sport is, there's a lot of people at the games, and they're wearing different uniforms. And at the end of the night, there's only one of them, and maybe even that whole group, like half of them will be mad because certain guy didn't play as much as he should have or whatever. But most are there, and you can only make one of them happy. And I'm with you. It's the replays, the way we've gotten down to it. I don't mind baseballs because it's quick, and you are instantly basically putting that guy on notice that you were wrong. In basketball, typically we get that 2-minute report, which is about as worthless as my 5:30 flight that's now been delayed to 6:30.
Oh, lame.
So I'll maybe flying with you.
Well, I'm glad I'm not by you sticking around. You're not going to be running
I'll be in no
Home
rush.
Alone style through the airport.
I'll be in no rush. And honestly, I'm excited. I put it down to a mistake, administrative mistake, and I can live with that. It's not like they were trying to get the dude to play and he'd bet on football or football.
You said you'd want to hear the call between President Trump and the FIFA president. I would too, but I would more like to know how much the bribe was and how that was dealt with. Because that, with FIFA, I mean, You saw Sepp Blatter. Did you see his tweet where he's tweeting out basically saying that I'm sure it was a quid pro quo?
Hey.
I'm sure that FIFA got some very generous donations to the correct people.
What's the old saying? Everything's fair in love, war, and the World Cup.
Oh, yeah. I think it's funny how unabashed. They're just shameless. Just overturning a red card just for the heck of it. Why not?
Balaga eats a whale, but it's also a soccer guy. He's very important to us. Would you like 250 mil? I have it left over.
We're sending a guy with a suitcase to the hotel. Just
tell me the room number.
Let's make the announcement. All right. Good,
He's in.
Good times. The former U.S. head of U.S. soccer or whatever, the representative in FIFA, was so corrupt that he not only had a Manhattan apartment for himself, but he also had the adjoining apartment for his cats.
Who's this guy, Larry Scott?
Good one. All right, more next. Sarah Todd, top of the 3 o'clock hour. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Evening. Buyer's remorse. Buy a new car? I'll be moving in. Let's get started.
Sorry, I think there's been a mistake. I bought it from Carvana.
You what?
Yeah, great price. I even have 7 days to love it or return it.
So there's no...
No buyer's remorse. More like buyer's rejoice.
I guess I'll let myself out. Congratulations. I mean it.
Buyers rejoice. Buy your car today on Carvana.
Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson. Now, every day from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. No Ben today. Sarah Todd's going to be with us at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. Tim LaComb with us for one more segment. How did, for those of you that don't know, Tim's son, Sam, is a big Celtics fan.
Yes, he is.
How did he react to the Jaylen Brown trade?
You know what? He kind of understands how the NBA works. This one was interesting. I think the rub is that he went to the division foe.
Sixers?
I mean, come on. But I don't know that I've ever seen a trade made like that actually weakens the team intending to get
like
stronger.
That? It does.
It was not a good deal for Boston.
No, I can't believe they gave him away for nothing. I don't think Brad Stevens knows what he's doing.
We had to have a goal. I just saw it with my own eyes.
Oh, how about that? España takes a 1-0 lead in the 91st minute over Lloyd's beloved Portuguese squad.
Have you ever had Spanish paella?
I know what it is, but I don't think I've ever had it.
I had a lot of it. We went to Madrid with the team, played over there, and I was good with it till they brought out one with a fish. And the eyeball, was still looking up at me, and I was like, I'm going to skip that one and go back to this other one.
You got to dive in, dude.
I didn't dive. No diving.
I went to a Chinese wedding, a wedding in Chinatown in New York, but it was they had a traditional Chinese. I can't even remember how many courses. It's like 20 courses or something bananas. Anyway, great wedding. We had a fantastic time, but after like the second or third course, I had to tell our server. I had to say, "Listen, just stop telling me what it is. I'm here to experience it. I'm going to eat it. I'm going to dive in. No problem. But you got to stop telling me what it is."
Because it was getting
in my head. You know what I mean? It was getting in my head. Just stop mentioning it. Anyway, we had a really good time.
I bet you did. You have a great time at most parties, I've found.
I don't know. That's kind of my MO. Certainly love weddings. I'm good at weddings. I'm wedding guy. Christian saw that firsthand.
Hey, where's the book? And the bar.
So anyway, Spain 1-0 lead. Okay, well, I was curious to his reaction to the Jaylen Brown deal. Maybe one of the worst trades ever.
That's kind of what he thought, and the fact that, I don't know, man, Tatum's got a lot to prove now.
Absolutely. But the Sixers were going to have to pair assets to get off of Paul George's contract. He was a candidate for the old maid, the worst contract in the league that nobody could get off. Not only did Philly add Jaylen Brown, but they got off their headache. They got off their, and Jalen's overpaid too. But I mean, you're going to get way more production out of him than you are playoff P. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
What a disaster.
Yes, it is a disaster. And I mean, part of it too, I've heard, there's new ownership and they're going to do things different. Okay. All right. Good luck with that.
Because a bird in the hand is worth a ball on the carpet, my man.
I believe that is true. I've heard that somewhere.
Having a top 10 player in the league? Well, if you're going to move off of it, you better get something. I mean, the Jazz moved off of Donovan and Rudy, arguably two not top 10 players in the league, and you got to maximize that thing. That also tells me that Jaylen Brown or something about him was quite unpleasant. That they just we got to get this guy out of here.
Just get rid of him now. I mean, in all honesty, I think the Jazz got back more for Walker, right?
They did.
I mean,
absolutely.
So
they did.
It wasn't, I guess, well orchestrated. Maybe the intentions were good, but not executed to a very good level.
We didn't talk about the Walker deal. I thought the Jazz actually executed that masterfully. To basically, instead of matching a deal for Walker Kessler at 39, they get that kind of compensation. Because they basically told the Lakers, we probably have a number and you can get him if you max him out. And then probably negotiate it down and say, you give us 2 firsts and 2 swaps and we'll come down to a reasonable spot for you.
I agree. I don't think, I think obviously overpaying at any spot is going to be detrimental to what the Jazz are trying to do. I believe Walker's a really good player. I really enjoyed watching his evolution the last couple of years. But I think what Walker wants right now is to be paid like a guy who's done it. And they think there are questions about his ability, especially coming off injury, to continually do that and then more, because that's what you're going to ask for somebody when you're paying them that much.
Tim, thank you for sticking around. Good luck on the flight leaving
Thank you.
At a reasonable time. I should probably check and see mine. I wonder what's going on.
I think this may have just been like a crew thing or something. Our flight is en route, and it was delayed, so it may just be that.
One of those normal kind of things?
Seen it a few times. Over 1 million miles on Delta and over 800 nights in a Marriott in my life.
And you were allowed to keep those points?
Yes. Yes.
Didn't a certain coach always protect the Marriott points like they were?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I found... look,
but that was early.
I had my ways.
Listen to you. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
All right, Tim will be live from Dallas with Scotty G coming up tomorrow. We have Sarah Todd from the Deseret News coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Not only do these guys give you the best Jazz coverage in the market, they've got you covered with the Mammoth, the Cougars, the Utes, and the Aggies. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Down goes Portugal. Spain is moving on. How's Salazar in there? How's the Mamba?
He quite literally stormed out of the studio.
I can only hope he was in tears.
Portugal, Ronaldo's done.
Done.
Yeah, that's his last one.
Isn't he 105 too? He's done.
104. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, let's talk some Utah Jazz basketball. Let's get to something important. A little summer league action. They have a game tonight, by the way, against the Grizzlies. Tip-off at the Huntsman Center is going to be at 7 o'clock. Our next guest does a wonderful job covering the Jazz for the Deseret News, and she joins us now. She is Sarah Todd. What's going on, Sarah? How are you?
I'm doing great. No more Ronaldo on my screen for the rest of the summer, and I get to watch Darryn Peterson. So these are thumbs up.
I hope you had a happy 4th. I know you were working on the 4th, but hopefully you salvaged a little celebration too.
Yeah, I had just enough time to get a microwave burger in and drink a cherry soda. So that was absolutely perfect. That was enough celebration for me.
Well, let's talk about the debut of Darryn Peterson, because that's what everybody is talking about. I'm curious to your thoughts, and we always have to throw in the qualifier, right? First game of Summer League, and you can never tell. But I'm curious to your reaction to his debut.
Yeah, I think the thing that I always tell people is that with Summer League, you take a grain of salt and also do your very best to not pay attention to the score. And, like, even if you can, don't pay attention to the box score at all, because, you know, there's nerves that go into it. And a lot of these guys haven't played basketball competitively at all for literally months, because most, you know, the rookies that we're looking at haven't played since March. And most of the guys that are coming back second, third year, whatever it may be, haven't played since the first couple of weeks of April probably, or before that if they were shut down at any part of the season. And so always with a grain of salt. But the things that you're really looking for in Summer League are, like, how does it feel? And I know that that sounds like very woo-woo, right? But, like, the things that are going to translate from a Summer League court to a real NBA court is, like, the guys that stand out and they pop out. For the most part, that's going to translate. They're just the best guys on the court are going to look good in the NBA. So sometimes that takes a little bit more time to realize, right? Like, we've seen Cody Williams look really good for a couple of years in Summer League. That hasn't totally translated, but think back to Keontae George's first year in Summer League where he had like 33-3 in Vegas. And it took a couple of years for him to kind of really settle into an NBA spot. And so that's what you're looking for, is just the guys that stand out, what feels best and what looks best.
You certainly don't have to talk yourself into his shot, do you? You don't no, see his shot and you don't have to say, well, maybe it'll get there in a couple of years. I mean, that stood out to me immediately.
Yeah, you know, his shot has been so fluid, like form, mechanics, all of it since he was in high school. It's beautiful, right? Like when you see guys that shoot the ball like that, it's just wonderful to watch. But also, I think the way that he gets to his shot, the fact that he's 19 years old and he doesn't really get sped up at all, he really controls the pace of the game and he doesn't force bad shots. Like, God, there's so many things that could be worse for a 19-year-old rookie that you just got in the draft. It's wonderful to see.
I liked it that he well, let me put it this way. You've been covering Summer League and the NBA for a long time. You never know what kind of buy-in level you're going to get at Summer League. It's all over the spectrum, right? Guys that don't want to be there, that think they're above it. Then you get the try hard, trying to make the league types, and it's this weird meshing of motivation. But I thought it was a positive that he really wanted to show his stuff. After all the controversy at Kansas and not going number one and the kind of off-the-floor knocks against him, I liked it that he was eager to come out at first opportunity and show what he could do.
Yeah, and kind of piggyback off that. One of the things that he said after the game, honestly, the thing that he said that I loved the most was that, again, like you're saying, all these questions about like his buy-in and like how much he cares and how much he wants to be on the court, kind of his competitiveness. And he comes in after that game and he's talking about the fact that Zuby Ejiofor is on the Atlanta Hawks Summer League team. And when he saw that roster, he's thinking about the fact that Zuby Ejiofor was on the St. John's team that knocked out Kansas in the NCAA tournament. And he's like, I'm not going to let this guy get another win. It's a Summer League. It's not even a Vegas Summer League game. It's a Salt Lake Summer League game. Right. So the fact that he's even thinking about that kind of stuff and like has that, he's just got a lot of dog. And I think that the Jazz roster has been missing that kind of dog.
Yeah, an edge. I totally agree. Jazz have a lot of great young players, but I don't know if they have a guy that you would say, okay, that dude has a little edge to him, a chip on his shoulder type of dude.
Yeah, I've been saying for a long time the Jazz have been lacking dog. And not only that, but like lacking a guy who wants to defend and can defend out on the perimeter at that level. I think, it was really, really nice to see the crowd at the Huntsman Center and they're, on their feet when Darryn comes out and he leads the team out onto the court for pregame warmups. And then his first possession, first touch of the ball, he just makes a read and goes around like a bigger guy and drives to the basket. Huge eruption from the crowd. And then like 70 seconds later, there's a chase down block from Darryn Peterson on Kingston Flemings. And I was like, that is what you want, right? Like, that's what the Jazz have been missing, is a guy who not only has it on the offensive end, but isn't going to give up on a defensive play.
All right, Sarah, let's talk about some of the other guys. You mentioned Cody Williams in his previous summer leagues. What stood out to you about Cody in his debut this year?
Yeah, obviously the athleticism, right? Like, everyone's talking about the dunks, and that's something that Cody's been showing off for a couple of years. I think, if history is any indication, then we probably are not going to see Cody in Vegas. I don't have that on any good authority at all, but, the Jazz, for their third-year guys that they played in Summer League, they play a couple times in Salt Lake, and they haven't played in Vegas, so we'll see. But with Cody, it's like, I need to see it during the regular season. I know what he looks like in Summer League. I know what he looks like against G League guys. At this point, I just need to see him on an NBA court be able to kind of assert that same kind of will.
And then kind of same question about Ace Bailey. What stood out to you about him?
Yeah, I'm really hoping that we still get to see Ace at some point this summer, because he left that game with back spasms. That is, both concerning and not concerning, because it's like, I feel like during the summer they're going to be really, really extra cautious. If a guy, breaks a fingernail, they might hold him out from Summer League games because they don't want anything to go wrong. But also, he should probably not be having back spasms at this point after, putting in some really good work the last few weeks. So that's just kind of on the back of my mind, and hoping that all resolves itself very quickly. But I love that Ace looked really smooth and kind of like in his game. He also looks just like drastically stronger. He looks so much stronger than he did at the end of last season. And so it's exciting that kind of the other youngest guy on the team outside of Darryn has put on that kind of weight and that kind of strength in the course of just a couple of months. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing kind of what he looks like heading into the next season. I think all of the bright lights were on Darryn. I think that Cody kind of took a step up and kind of asserted himself a little bit more in the offense. And I don't think that Ace did that so much in that first game, but he looked really comfortable. He's going to be very, very, very good.
I think so too. And kind of with that in mind, though, what are fair expectations for him this year? What is reasonable to expect as far as improvement in production goes for him?
Yeah, like the easy answer is just to say better than last year, right? But I think the reasonable expectation should be that Ace Bailey has all of the tools to be like an excellent, excellent defender. And so you really want him to take a big jump on that side. And I think Ace's offensive game is kind of like we're talking about with Darryn's. Like, there's no questions about it. We know that Ace is really, really fluid. He's got a great feel for those mid-range jumpers. It's very KD-esque when you watch him. And so I don't have a lot of questions about what he's capable of on the offensive end, but like the expectation is that he really needs to jump into being one of the Jazz's premier defenders this year.
First time I've talked to you since the Walker-Kessler trade. I'm curious to your thoughts on how that played out for the Jazz and the Lakers, and Walker for that matter.
Yeah, I think, everything that I think, I was hearing, everyone was hearing is that, we expected that there was going to be a resolution. And I think that was the plan. But I think that plan changes when the Lakers come to you and say, like, yeah, we're willing to just empty out the draft coffers for you. We will leverage the entirety of our 7-year future for this guy. So, like, that really changes the conversation. So the Jazz get, 2 outright unprotected first-round picks plus rights to the 2 swaps. So, like, basically you're getting rights to 4 picks. And then on top of that, I think the kind of under-talked about part of this is that the Jazz didn't have to take on any bad contracts. They didn't have to take on guys that they're going to have to waive or buy out or deal elsewhere. And they're just left with, all of this cap space and a trade exception. And so that's a really huge part, is that they're able to make this trade, get the future assets, And meanwhile, like, I know that the Lakers always like somehow find a way, right? But to their name right now for the next 7 years, they have no tradable first-round picks. They only have a pick swap and a second-round pick to their name for the next 7. Like, that's it. That's all they have. So they really leveraged a lot to make this happen. And if you can kind of make a deal and have a lot of room left to work with, and also kind of, handicap one of your Western Conference foes, I think that's incredible. And as far as how it works out for Walker and the Lakers, like, they were desperate, and Luka Doncic, only has 2 more guaranteed years on his deal before his player option. Like, you have to make him happy. You have to give him something to work with. They had to do a deal like this, and Walker Kessler now gets to catch lobs from Luka Doncic. So I kind of think it's win-win-win.
Steep price tag. It was kind of it was like a game of chicken. Which team wants to go into the season without a center? Because that was really the consequence in the short term. And I don't think Jackson Hayes is a solution. I know Nurk got his nose fixed, thank goodness, but I'm not sure if he's a solution either. What do you think the Jazz do as far as center going forward?
Yeah, I mean, none of that is going to be a solution long term, right? But I think that anybody that thinks that the Jazz going into this particular season being a legitimate title contender, like, that's not realistic. And so it doesn't have to be that the Jazz have their perfect center for the timeline for this team right now. Having Nurkic there is a great piece to have to kind of get all of these young guys on board, up to speed, setting screens for them. He's a great guy for that. I mean, he showed that he can do those things last season, that it's, he's not too old yet, right? And so that's great for this season. This Jazz team needs to be able to prove that, as constructed, that they're able to win games. We haven't even seen most of the players on this team like unlocked for a full season. And so that needs to be pushed forward. I think that the expectation is still, you make the playoffs. You definitely need to be a play-in team, like, at worst, make the playoffs. And, like, yeah, down the road, the center position is going to need to be fortified a little bit, but that can happen over the next few years kind of as they ramp their way up through the Western Conference.
What on earth is Boston doing? It's one of the worst trades I've ever seen.
What's Boston doing? What's Washington doing? What's Sacramento doing?
Yeah, right. What are they? I can't make hide nor hair of it. I mean, you take on Paul George. You were that desperate to move off a top, I don't know, what do you put him at, Sarah? Top 10, top 12 player in the NBA? It seems crazy.
We were listen, I know that last year was a weird year with, like, the injuries and the 65-game rule and whatnot, but Jaylen Brown had that team winning, and we were talking about him as a part of the MVP race when Jason Tatum was completely sidelined. Like, he helped to carry that Boston Celtics team. And I can't make sense of the fact that when you have that guy on your team, then you hand him to the team that beat you. Like, that feels like it doesn't really, the math isn't mathing for me there.
No, I couldn't agree more. As far as Sacramento, they drafted the GM made friends with Acuff's dad back in the day, so they drafted him, and they're just going to give him the team, right? I mean, they're just going to hand that to the team.
That's a great way to do things, is just if you have a friend from one day back when, start making decisions for your NBA franchise based on that. And, let's just replace Russell Westbrook with Russell Westbrook.
It's very Sacramento. It's very King.
Listen, Kang's going to Kang.
That's what they're going to do. I mean, you don't get that rep accidentally. Enjoy the game tonight, Sarah. Well, let me ask you this before I let you go. Anything you're going to have your eye on tonight? Possible storyline that we can follow as well?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I'm watching to see if Darryn can hold the turnovers down during this one. I think maybe like early jitters, and I know that he was upset with himself about having 8 turnovers in that first game. It doesn't really matter. I'm still looking at the same stuff, right? Like, does he come out and look like he's playing with an edge? Does he come out and look like he's playing in a league of his own compared to everyone else? That's what we're going to be looking at throughout the entirety of the summer.
Well, Sarah, thank you for coming on. We love your coverage. We'll be watching for it tonight.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Sarah. There you go. The one and only Sarah Todd. She covers the Jazz for the Deseret News, and she will be up at the Huntsman Center tonight for the Jazz matchup with the Memphis Grizzlies. And it'll be a chance to see Darryn Peterson take on Cam Boozer. What a headline headliners tonight up at the Huntsman Center. And the Salt Lake City Summer League did draw a nice batch of interesting, compelling young players, including the Jazz own Darryn Peterson. And so we'll get to see those two go head to head. I was listening to Kurt Helin on with Coach and Scotty G earlier today, and talk about how Memphis. Kurt was kind of thinking Memphis was going to be pretty good. I don't know about that. I think Cam Boozer,
Summer League good or regular season good?
Regular season good. And I think he was trying to make the point of even some of the younger teams or lesser teams are still going to be tough wins for some of these teams that are trying. I just don't know if Memphis is an example of that.
I mean, some nights the Jazz were a tough win,
Oh, man, most nights until they completely pulled the plug.
Right, so I guess
Which
you never
was the
know,
point he was trying to make, honestly. Because, the Jazz were on pace to be a 30-win team basically until, the end of December when they said, all right, well, we're only going to win like 5 more games for the rest of the year. We talked about it on this show. So Kurt was kind of hinting with the different rules, and maybe teams like the Jazz last year will now be a little bit more of a tough out, and he threw Memphis into that convo. I'm pretty intrigued, reboot a team around a player like Cam Boozer, who is the type of player that you can build around, in my opinion, just based on the way that he plays, and he makes other players better. So he'll get every opportunity, though. I mean, Darryn Peterson is going on to a Jazz team that, shots, playmaking. I mean, there's going to be real competition for all of that. And I don't think Cam Boozer is going to have something similar. I mean, speaking of Ace Bailey, he's, if he makes the next step, and you heard Sarah talk about his offense and where his offense is right now, I mean, he's going to be pushing Darryn Peterson for minutes. He's going to be pushing Keontae George for minutes. He's going to be pushing Lauri Markkanen for minutes. And if he's motivated to make that next step, I think that's a huge storyline, because I do think those sorts of things make players better, to fight it out and earn your role on the team. I thought that was a big part of Keontae George's arc last year. If we look back, Keontae George, when he was rookie, he was handed a pretty big role. He was then moved into the starting lineup. I'm trying to remember how far into his rookie year. And, kind of had that attitude like, okay, I'm an NBA starter. I'm here. Let's do it. I've arrived. And then you recall that he was benched the next season in favor of Isaiah Collier, who moved into the starting lineup for the rest of the year. And then famously, the Jazz, kind of had to talk to Keontae at the end of the year, and he came back with a great attitude and mindset, and really earned his role with his teammates and with the coaching staff. And then all of a sudden he was off to the races last year on a team that had that role and that opportunity available to it. But I think to him. But I think he benefited from having to go out and earn it and battle it out with Collier in camp, and how to exercise his new mentality. And he's been just such a different and terrific player ever since. And that's not going to stop for Keontae either. He needs to fight for his role, and he's quite literally going to be fighting for a contract extension, which he's in the same boat that Walker Kessler was in last year. And we'll see with no Walker Kessler. You heard Sarah talking about, having a little bit more money. Maybe their attitude on whether or not to extend Keontae George this offseason, maybe that changes a little bit. But he's going to be motivated to go out and show his stuff. I don't know if the Jazz view him as a max player, but I bet you after last year, he views himself as pretty close to that. So, it'll be interesting to see if he goes out and battles for it and proves that he's going to be a dude. I did not ask Sarah, I should have, about her thoughts on adding Josh Okogie. That is kind of the news today. The Jazz add I don't know, would you call him 3-and-D wing, Christian? I mean, he averaged, let's see, where was this? He averaged like 38.5% from three last year.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny hearing Tim talk about him. The first thing Tim brings up, defense. Second thing Tim brought up, 3-point percentage, 3-and-D. He's a little short, but he can guard multiple positions, right? So we'll see how he fits into that room with some of the other wings like Ace Bailey and Cody Williams and some of these other players that are going to be rotating at that kind of 2-3 spot.
You know what? He's a player that Will Hardy can play to motivate other players.
Exactly.
Like if he can go into the locker room and howl about defense, and then this is a dude where he can back up his point. If you guys don't want to go guard, I'll just play a Kogi because he's gonna guard. And then if you get the other guys to the point where they can play a little defense and they're gonna play both sides of the ball, then you don't have to play a Kogi as much, and you're only paying him $6 million. In a 2-year, $12 million deal, I'd have to look. I got to imagine the second year is not guaranteed. So if it works out, great. If it doesn't, because other players step up, even better.
Yeah, motivator. You were just talking about how Keontae needed that, and Keontae's not the only young player on this roster that needs that. So, yeah, Will wants to make an example. Get out there, Josh,
Because at this point, and I'm going to pick on Bryce a little bit. Apologies, but he's the one who this is most obvious for. Maybe not the only one. But the difference between him being out of the league and him being a rotational player is him becoming serviceable on the defensive side. It's true. His skill set offensively, his size, all of that, and keeps his body right and all of that, he could easily be a productive rotational player in the NBA for a long time. But if he doesn't pour it on defensively and figure out how to guard, teams aren't going to do it because he's not good enough that you're just going to donate the whole offense to him and allow him just to coast on defense. He's going to have to become a two-way player. And if you can figure out a way to motivate him with minutes with a guy like a Kogi, then, all of a sudden maybe you get him to take the next step in his game. But it is true, like Sarah mentioned it's true about Ace Bailey. It's true about, even Darryn Peterson, even though he played well on both sides of the ball in Summer League game number 1. These guys are going to have to be two-way dudes in the NBA to get minutes, and I think that certainly is a positive thing. All right. Big thanks to Sarah Todd for jumping on with us in the last segment. Again, check out all her work at the Deseret News, of course. All right, we'll have more coming up next. It's the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Queen Carvania stood haloed by the morning sun. An army hung on her every word.
My champions, I have sold my chariot on Carvana. 'Twas a lovely SUV, an inexplicably queenly offer. They're even coming to the castle to collect it. Tonight, we feast. An offer you can feast on. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. No Ben today. We are going to be live tomorrow from Big 12 Media Days. Excited to head down there. It's wild when Media Days roll around. The football season is not far off. And we're going to be blowing it out for you. Coverage. PK is going to be down there. Scotty G, Coach Tim LaComb, myself. We're going to give you 2 action-packed days of football preview. We're going to talk to players and coaches. Thrilled to be going down there and making it happen. I didn't have a chance, Christian, to go last year, so I'm excited to go again this year. And I've been to Dallas a couple of times, but this will be my first time spending a couple of days there, so pretty excited about that. I'll tell you something that I'm not excited about, Christian, and I would be open to your opinion on this. But listen, NBA games are too long. I agree. They are too long. And they need to find a way to shorten them. And I fear that baseball's success, and I do think it's a success with the pitch clock to shorten games a little bit, has given other sports, other leagues, a little bit of license to mess with it. Again, talking about cats in the wall, solutions that don't really solve anything. So the NBA, Christian, is now, and I'm sure you noticed watching Summer League, they're now testing out these new rules, which have been in the G League for a while, that with free throws, you will only shoot one free throw and it will equal the amount of the shot that you were taking, right? So if you're taking a 2-point shot and go to the line, your one free throw will be worth 2 points. If you're taking a 3-point shot and you go to the line, your one free throw will be worth 3 points. An and one still exists. Now, I feel like this is fundamentally messing with the integrity of the game. But then again, I'm old and stuck in my ways. But they're saying that the average time saved, Christian, is 5 to 6 minutes.
Over the course of one game?
Yes. So you're shaving 5 to 6 minutes off a game by having just one free throw instead of 2 or 3.
5 to 6 minutes out of what does a typical 2.5 hours?
We're right around now.
Yeah.
We're right around 2.5 hours, which is longer than it used to be even like 10 years ago. It was probably around 2. Your average was, 2:10, somewhere around there. And I would say it doesn't average 2.5, but it's probably more in the range of 2:20, 2:25 now.
Okay. So you don't think 6 minutes is worth it?
I don't think so. And this is me complaining about how long games are. But this isn't the solution.
It feels a little XFL-ish, right? And you look at like the way the NFL adapted the new kickoff rule and some of the kind of wonky things that the XFL or whatever they call it, UFL now, tries out and then the NFL later implements. I'm with you. I think it is a little weird. It feels like a shortcut that doesn't need to be taken. And also, how does it affect, when you've got players who, like Walker Kessler, if he's going to the free throw line and he's shooting one free throw now for 2 points, but he's only a 50, 60% free throw shooter, that guy's never going to make a free throw.
The argument is that it would even out, that for as many front end as Walker made, he would miss, right? So it would come out in the wash.
I guess.
I happen to think that the second free throw packs on more pressure or is a different situation, especially in a close game, right? You make the front and you have one more to tie it or whatever. That makes it to a way different situation, I think. But then again, people could argue that the pressure now is increased on the first one. So again, it would come out in the wash. But I think there's a reason why points in the NBA are the way they are. 2 points, 3 points, and then a free throw is 1 because it all goes by difficulty, right? The free throw, the easy one, should be worth 1, and 2 free throws equal 1 2-pointer.
Yeah.
Or make 3 in a row is equal to 1 3-pointer because that's a more difficult shot. I just feel like you're messing with the building blocks. Whereas the timer in baseball, the pitch timer, you're just telling the lazy pitcher to get on with his stuff, right? He doesn't need to sit there and scratch himself and throw to first 25 times. That doesn't fundamentally mess with the like building blocks of the game. Now, I think what Major League Baseball is doing in extra innings is egregious. So does the ends justify the means? If you want to save 10 minutes off of games, I'm not kidding. Just get rid of replay. I know I bang this drum and I'm the only one over and over and over again. Just get rid of it. Deal with the ref's bad call and move on as opposed to sending those idiots over to the table only to screw up the call anyway. Or automatically review this or automatically review that. Or you know what? Get rid of some timeouts. Or shave 5 minutes off of halftime. I mean, really, it's just TV stations running ads, right? And, of course, radio stations running ads and some really fantastic halftime content, obviously. And my feelings would be hurt personally if they shaved 5 minutes off of halftime. But would we really miss it? Or I would love, and this seems crazy, Christian, I would love for them just to start the game at 7.
That's what they need to work on first. Let's fix the start times before we monkey with any other rules.
Let's start it right at 7 or like 7:01 or 7:02.
We were talking about this with the World Cup. And how many games have they done over the past 2 weeks now? And every single one of them has started relatively on time. I know Mexico got pushed back an hour yesterday, but guess what? They announced that ahead of time, right?
Yep.
If it's a 7 p.m. start, it's going to start right at 7 p.m. or maybe 1 or 2 minutes after. NBA, 6:30 p.m. start. You can go grab dinner at 6:30, be home by 7, and make it in for tip.
Maybe be tipping off. Yeah, I think there are other ways they can shorten the overall time of an NBA game without messing with the integrity of it all. But maybe I'm just a curmudgeon.
Well, the other thing with this, too, if you think flopping on the three-point attempts is out of hand now,
Just wait.
Just wait until they figure out all you got to do to get 3 points for your team is hit one free throw. A lot of these floppers, they're shooting at least 80-85% from the line. So they're going to go out there. What do you have a higher chance of hitting? Your 35% three-point shot or your 85% one free throw to make 3 points,
I totally agree. I think it totally messes around with the integrity. To only shave 5 or 6 minutes off seems ridiculous. Although I got to tell you, I've complained many a night of sitting there and watching a team shoot 30 free throws. I mean, it is a brutal way to watch basketball. So maybe I'm a huge hypocrite. But I do love basketball, the game. Even though the free throw is not my favorite part of it, it is still part of the game. Like we've got the World Cup up in the background. I hate all the pass back and then pass over and then pass back. But that's part of it, right? They're setting up the attack. They're setting up the moment. So I wouldn't want to see that part, even though it's not my favorite, legislated out of soccer somehow because it's not the most thrilling. It's still a basic part of the game to be played in the strategy. So I hate it. I hope they don't. I hope they don't mess with it.
Also,
they should just go back.
The thing that takes the most time for free throws is like setting everything up and getting everybody in position. Which, if you're going to the line anyways, an extra free throw or two isn't what takes the most time.
Totally. Hey, start enforcing. That's a great point, Christian. Start enforcing delay of game. Say, get your backside on the line, or you're going to get a delay of game, and then start enforcing the 10-second rule. Giannis takes a year and a half at the line, although that might be a sensitive subject for OG Jazz fans because people used to complain about Karl Malone doing that all the time. And so what started in the latter part of his career, Christian? The whole crowd would count to 10. It happened in the playoffs every year. The whole crowd would start counting to 10 as Karl was busy whispering to himself. I still don't think he's ever admitted to what he whispered to himself every time he shot a free throw and fell all the way backwards onto his keister. He somehow turned into at least a fairly decent free throw shooter, and he really had no business doing it. Did you ever remember watching Karl shoot free throws?
I did not know. I was 3 when he was on the Lakers, so.
He shot him fading totally backwards. Like, I don't know if you had instruction to shoot free throws, you should be, center balanced and if anything be falling forward, and he would always be falling backwards.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Well, and if you're Karl Malone and averaging 27 points a game and your team is really awesome, then you just leave him alone. Tim tells a funny story about Rick Majerus, who said that's the reason, pointed at Karl Malone, that's the reason he could never coach in the NBA, because he'd try to fix that. And his opinion would matter more than Rick's would. You know what I mean?
Yeah, NBA, the stars matter. Their opinion matters more than the coach.
Absolutely 100% correct. We'll see how Will Hardy navigates those waters. I like Will Hardy's personality with young players. I bet he doesn't have too much difficulty identifying, and he's a younger coach, but he seems to have more of that chill vibe that I think coaching is more moving into.
He and Walker actually had a really fun relationship, and that's one of the things I'm going to miss about having Walker Kessler on the Jazz was the way he and Will Hardy interacted. It seemed like they were always on the same page. And then, earlier we talked about the Keontae George stuff, and Will has been really hard on Keontae, but it clearly has been for a good reason, and it's worked out. So I'm totally with you. I think for some of these coaches, it might be hard to connect with, the younger players, but I don't think Will Hardy has a hard time with that.
Long story short, Adam Silver needs to go back into his crypt and not do this ridiculous free throw thing. Don't do it. It's not worth it. All right, we'll have more Jake and Ben coming up right around the corner. Stay tuned for that. Top of the 4 o'clock hour, we're going to be joined by John Kurtz, host a Big 12 podcast. We'll have him back on the show. Top of the 4 o'clock hour. It's the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
When maintaining your daily wellness rituals is important to you, the change in routine during the summer can feel daunting. Kachava's new travel packs help you stick to your daily ritual, even when you're on the go. Just one packet of Kachava's all-in-one nutrition shake provides complete nutrition with 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, adaptogens, and much more. So you'll be fueled and ready for wherever life or your summer adventures take you. No fillers, no nonsense. Just the good stuff your body craves. Plus, it actually tastes delicious. But you can try it for yourself because the variety pack includes all 6 delicious fan favorites: chocolate, vanilla, chai, matcha, coconut acai, and strawberry. So instead of worrying about sticking to your daily ritual, simplify it with Kachava. Go to Kachava.com and use code FITNESS for 15% off. That's KACHAVA.com, code FITNESS.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Best thing that's ever happened to you financially. Go.
Easy. Sold my car on Carvana. Amazing offer.
Really? I hit 200 on the scratcher.
Did the scratcher come to your house and hand you a check?
No.
How many scratchers did you hit to get that? I hit a button on Carvana.com once.
Okay, that's fair.
It's like the lottery, except you always win.
Not like the lottery at all, actually.
Exactly. Inexplicably good. Offers worth bragging about. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Systems go. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson. Now, every day from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. No Ben today. Coming up at the top of the 4 o'clock hour, we're going to let you hear from John Kurtz. He hosts a Big 12 podcast. We'll get a little Big 12 Media Day preview from John, so stay tuned for that. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we're going to let you hear a bunch of jazz sound, all the post-game sound from Summer League game number 1. You'll hear from Cody Williams, Steve Wojciechowski, Darryn Peterson, and then we also will chat with PK, Patrick Kinahan, coming up at 5:30, as PK also is headed for Dallas for Big 12 Media Days. Christian, I really regret that I was not able to follow the details because I was out of town, to follow the details of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding. Were you dialed in? Your wife is much more of a fan than you, but you are a fan. Were you focused on the talk snap all weekend, seeing what happened?
I saw some of the major highlights. I wasn't glued to it because I think, and my wife is on the same page. It's crossed the line to where it's starting to be a little pretentious, right? Go figure, right? Shocker. But yeah, Adam Sandler officiated it.
I bet Ben was thrilled. Ben's hero, Adam Sandler, the biggest movie star on the planet, according to Ben Anderson.
A lot of random stuff.
Really appropriate. I saw that one of Travis Kelce's friends, Will Compton, what's his name? Compton was complaining in the public that he didn't get an invite. And frankly, I don't blame him if he has a relationship off the field with Travis Kelce, because did you see some of the other bozos? There's no way that George...
Gene Steratore was there?
Oh, yeah. George Stephanopoulos, the news guy. What is Snuffleupagus is going, but Will Compton can't get an invite? I'd be bent too.
Have you ever not been invited to a friend's wedding?
Yeah, it happens. I told you, or maybe I didn't tell you, but after going through it, where you have to narrow down a guest list, I will never have hurt feelings again after.
Unless Snuffleupagus got invited.
Yeah, unless I didn't get invited, but some clown like Snuffleupagus is going. What does he have to do with anything?
Yeah, it was a pretty random guest list. I saw Greg Olson was wearing a funny hat.
Did Stevie Nicks end up playing? Do we know?
And that's the other thing is I don't know what's real and what's not. Like, I don't know. Some of it is so outlandish that it sounds fake.
Okay.
But maybe it's all real. And that's just how crazy it was.
Now, I want to know, are you judging Travis Kelce for crying? Because apparently that's the reports, is he was very emotional.
Oh,
during his vows.
I cried at my wedding. Did you cry at yours?
Oh, blubbered like an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife was just a robot too. You know,
mine too, yeah. I don't think she shed a single tear.
No, she gets through her vows, bing, bang, boom. And then hands it over to me and it's like, just crying the whole way through. Absolutely. It was embarrassing.
But Travis is a football player, so he can't cry?
I'm in front of like 1,000 people up there blubbering. I don't know. I don't judge him. But if it were me, I would be super self-conscious if I were in his shoes. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, remove your tear ducts or something.
I don't know. No, I'm not judging. It's emotional. Good for him. He's in love. Good luck to those kids.
That's how you know it's real, I guess. There's still like a lot of people who think this is all just fake and set up.
Well,
you know, by like the overlords at the NFL.
Well, the divorce album is going to be epic.
Right, and that too down the road.
I mean, let's face it, the divorce album is going to be wild.
I was following TMZ, like put pictures out of her ex-boyfriend Matty Healy was like taking his new girlfriend out to lunch like the day of the wedding.
Oh yeah,
TMZ was all over it. Yeah,
was he the English guy?
I honestly don't know. I get them all mixed up. She's dated several Englishmen.
Has she?
Yeah.
She's got a taste.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, it's something to take over downtown New York City, downtown Manhattan for your wedding over the 4th of July. But
it's only like the third private event ever at MSG or something crazy.
And didn't they donate $28 million or something like that to charity in honor of their wedding?
Like that?
I sure hope so.
They've got enough between them. Although you'd think Travis Kelce's career earnings is, I don't know, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 million. He's got a fraction. I wonder what the prenup looked like.
Yeah, $111.1 million for Travis Kelce. And she's a billionaire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy prenup.
Yeah, crazy prenup. Who knew the professional football player would be the gold digger in this circumstance? Sure would like to have been the lawyer that hammered that out. I bet they made a fortune.
Yeah, wild times, really. I mean, again, if you would have said 3 years ago, before this whole relationship started, that this is where it was going, it's like, really? Travis Kelce?
Hey, the NFL comes out on top. That's just what happens. Whether they're orchestrating it or not, the NFL just always seems to win. I wonder if he looked fat, because wasn't that the complaint about Travis Kelce last year, was that he's turned into a fat guy?
Yeah, fat and slow.
Because he's distracted by all the stardom and all that, and now he's fat and slow.
Well, you could tailor the suit, you know.
That's just so he looked all right.
It's hard to tailor your football uniform.
It is a little bit.
You can really slim yourself with a nice tailor.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised he came back. Because aren't we expecting Kansas City to suck next year?
I sure hope so.
Well, they'll still figure out a way to beat the Donks. I mean, they're in that in-between phase. Like it was the magic of the Patriots, right? That they were able to reboot the roster around Tom Brady like 3 or 4 different times and ultimately be successful. Feel like Kansas City is in the down part where they're trying to reboot around Patrick Mahomes. And I don't know how well it's going to actually go next year.
Yeah, they've had, after some really good draft hits that led to that incredible run, they've had some really bad misses the last few years. And so we'll see how far that sets them back.
You think your Donks are going to win the division then?
Yes.
I'm assuming?
Yes.
You think they'll be better than the Chargers?
Yes. They might lose one division game.
Wow, bold.
Maybe one. They might split with the Chargers, but I think they sweep Vegas and Kansas City.
You think throw picks is going to be that good, huh?
MVP.
Where's Ben to bring you back down to earth on throw picks?
MVP.
Ben was a little off on that one.
The revenge tour after breaking his ankle.
You think?
Yeah. Okay. Buckle up, dude.
Look at, hey, brace yourself. All fall long, Christian's going to have wall-to-wall Broncos coverage. He always does. I mean, pretty much guests daily. I want to make sure we find out what's going on.
I'll dial up Woody Page again.
Oh, no, do not. No, don't dial up Woody Page again. Don't do that. Is he even actively working?
No, not PTI. Around the Horn.
Got canceled.
mixed up
because of me.
Because of you, yeah. Around the Horn got canceled, so I think he is.
But he doesn't.
Free agent.
He doesn't write for the Denver Post anymore or anything.
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, we don't need to have him on. That's fine. We'll have more coming up next. In fact, Big 12 Media Day is going down tomorrow and Wednesday in Dallas. We are going to be there as a station. Super excited about it. PK, Scotty G, the coach, myself will be in Dallas bringing you coverage all day tomorrow and all day on Wednesday. To help us preview it, John Kurtz is going to join the show. He hosts a Big 12 podcast. We'll get to that coming up next. It is the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Just doing it big, you know.
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, the show. In fact, the entire station going to be in Dallas starting tomorrow for Big 12 Media Days. Very excited about it. Let's get out to the zone phone. Somebody else that will be there tomorrow. He is the host of the Open for Business, a Big 12 podcast. He joins the show. He is John Kurtz. Hi, John. How are you?
Hey, what's up? I'm doing well. Appreciate you having me on.
What's your overall thoughts? I've covered media days for 20 years now. What's your overall thoughts on covering events like Media Day?
Oh man, well, I love it, but it's like a sprint, like a 48-hour sprint. You're just constantly stimulated. There are things going on all the time, whether it's trying to, especially if you're on radio / now it's Podcast Row. We've officially changed the name to Podcast Row, sign of the times. But if you're trying to get interviews with somebody or watching a press conference or trying to just go talk to somebody, all your media friends that you see, getting everybody in the same building is always really fun. So it's a blast. It's also exhausting, but in a really good way. So I enjoy it, especially when it comes like in the middle of July when we're all just really starved for some football content.
Totally agree. I do find it hilarious that everybody's in such a good mood. You know, the cliche, nobody's lost a game yet. I mean, you can talk to the projected last place team in the league, and they're still going, we think this is going to be our year.
Yeah, well, hey, in fairness, 2 years ago, that team was Arizona State, and they won the league.
Yeah,
so
great point.
There is that. I thought there was a great clip. I'm going to forget who it was. One of the Texas Tech accounts had a clip of Mike Leach from Media Days, which, I mean, it had to be the early 2000s. And he was basically making the same point you were in his very own Mike Leach way. Like, hey, all of us are just coming here and saying we're great and we've improved and blah, blah. He's kind of making fun of it. And I was like, well, I'll let you do that, Mike, because you provided us with endless amounts of entertainment.
Oh, man. Amazing. Rest his soul, Mike Leach, for sure. Let's talk about, from an overall conference perspective, what are the major storylines you're looking at? I mean, I know Sorsby's going to still be a topic, but it's not going to be nearly the circus it would be if that were still going on. So what are we all going to be talking about down there?
Yeah, I mean, that is number one on my list. Like, I would say, like, the combination of Sorsby and the Protect College Sports Act, like what's going on with the Senate bill and how it's pretty adversarial right now with the SEC and Big Ten who continue to oppose it. I mean, like today we saw Alabama and Auburn put out a joint statement opposing where that's at right now. And you have ADs like Jamie Pollard at Iowa State who have been really publicly outspoken against the SEC and Big Ten before about all of this. So it's on both of those topics, me wondering, will everybody keep it pretty in line and pretty locked down, or are there going to be folks that decide to speak up and speak their mind? Because, like Gene Taylor, K-State's athletic director, dropped an F-bomb to Ross Dellinger on the record about the Sorsby thing when it happened. Jamie Pollard literally just said last week on with 365 Sports, they did a great interview with him. He just said that Texas Tech should pay the Big 12's legal fees. And, I mean, you could just tell by the tone in his voice, he's still pretty bothered and upset by the whole situation. Cody Campbell was tweeting at Terry Mahajer, the athletic director at UCF, a couple of weeks ago about what he thought was hypocrisy over Mahajer saying, hey, if we had Brendan Sorsby situation, we wouldn't play the guy. So are they all going to talk? Is Cody Campbell going to be there? He was there last year, and he's certainly not shy about voicing his opinion and doing interviews. So be interested on that on both fronts, because obviously he's playing a huge role in the Protect College Sports Act right now too. So is he going to be there, and what will he say? How many of the ADs are going to be there and doing interviews? It's weird, like the players get sort of overshadowed because so much of what is happening right now is like so big picture and deals more with the coaches and the administrators. but obviously there are some great players there too. I will say one thing I'm looking forward to beyond just that is you have a really important new class of coaches that are going to be making their debut there for the first time. So you have 4 new head coaches: Colin Klein at K-State, Morgan Scally at Utah, Eric Morris.
John, I want to talk to you a little bit about, of course, our local schools and where they stack up. A lot of people around here are pretty optimistic. And let's start with BYU, who bringing back so many players, bringing back their quarterback, their all-conference running back. I'm curious, with the drama around Texas Tech, do you put BYU still in their class? Do you expect those two teams at the end of it all?
To me, once the Brendan Sorsby situation happened, I knocked Texas Tech back from the definitive favorite to just in the top tier, and I have BYU and Houston both in that top tier. So I definitely think BYU's in the mix. Every reason to think that, with L.J. Martin, Bear Bachmeier back, leading the charge offensively, even though they have to replace, the top 3 pass catchers, the Parker Kingston situation definitely hurts. When you also look at all the talent that was retained on defense, plus getting one of the best linebackers out of the portal, and just the stability of Kalani Sitake still being around. I know the Jay Hill thing is a question mark, but I'm still very, very bullish on BYU here, and I think it's just such a rock-steady program right now that absolutely they can win a Big 12 championship this year. And one thing you got to remember is, when you say, hey, Bear Bachmeier's back, and he is, and it's great. Hey, the guy didn't even have spring ball last year as a true freshman. He should, I think, improve by leaps and bounds this year if you're just judging off of what he was able to do already last season, considering the circumstances. So, I am very high on BYU. Maybe not quite as high on Utah, just because there was a little bit more turnover there with everything that happened with Kyle Whittingham and company, and taking 7 coaches from the staff and some of the high-end talent from the roster and the best member of the recruiting class. And you've obviously got a first-time head coach there, Morgan Scally, versus what you have in Kalani Sitake. But I do still think that they're probably a top 5 to 6 team in the Big 12 at worst, and could certainly play their way into the Big 12 championship game at best, especially with not one but 2 quarterbacks returning.
Yeah, I think Ute fans would tell you they're optimistic because they bring back the components to that offense that really was dynamic on the ground and then looked, great in the bowl game. And they lost some headliners, but they also kept some pretty fundamental guys. So I'm curious what you like about Houston to put them in that top tier.
Yeah, I understand that Houston, to a lot of people, is a regression candidate because a lot of people would look at it and say, well, they got a bit of a kiss with the schedule last year and won some really close games against a couple of teams that were not that great, and so perhaps had a bit of the close game luck. Phil Steele will talk about that a lot in his preview magazine. So they're due for a regression this year. But Willie Fritz wins everywhere he goes, and he's on that same trajectory at Houston right now. I loved what they did in the portal. I think they got a lot better up front, especially on the offensive line, which is something that they really needed. Like, the biggest measuring stick game they had last year was against Texas Tech. I think they got really pushed around up front, so they needed to get better there. I think they did. They got, in my opinion, one of the best running backs in the portal that will really help elevate the ceiling on offense. And then, Connor Wegman may not have as high of a ceiling as some of the quarterbacks in the league, but he is pretty darn good. And he is finally getting to work with an offensive coordinator for a second straight year. That's been something that's plagued him throughout his career. The guy's just dealt with a lot of turnover and a lot of change going back to his time at Texas A&M. So I think he's somebody that will be even more comfortable and very good. He brings back his top receiver. I just think there's a lot to like there with Houston, and Willie Fritz and company always seem to be able to figure out a defense. They even did it last year when they lost their defensive coordinator to Texas Tech. They kind of money whipped Sheil Wood away, and it didn't matter. They were still pretty solid on defense. So to me, it just the trend line and what we have seen from Willie Fritz in his career would indicate to me that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with and be pretty darn good this year.
I didn't have a chance to be at Big 12 Media Days last year, but I was there 2 years ago when we did it in Vegas. And I remember Deion Sanders rolling out and the reception he got, and he only did what he wanted, and him shaking hands on the floor. I mean, it was a true celebrity moment. I'm curious to your thoughts on Colorado and where Deion is at with his program, and if you think he'll still get a similar reception because, after all, it is still Deion Sanders.
Really interesting question, and I was thinking about this last night, because he's going on day one, which is when you have Texas Tech, BYU, your Mark press conference, Eric Morris at Oklahoma State, Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State. I was just how far down the list does Deion go in terms of attractions here, which has not been the case each of the last 2 years. You mentioned 2 years ago. That was wild. Yeah, I mean, most coaches go and they'll be walking around and you can go up and ask to get them for an interview, or at least ask the SID who is with them for an interview. And Coach Prime was not doing any of that at this point. Now I'm I feel like it might be smart for Colorado to try and get him out there to more people. I don't know how much his attitude on all of that has changed. But yeah, there's just not a whole lot of talk that I'm seeing about Colorado. I do think there's optimism about their portal class. Bill Connolly from ESPN had it ranked in his top 10 favorite classes that anybody put together, and they still have Julian Lewis, who was one of the most talented high school quarterbacks a couple of years ago. So there is potential there, but to me the question will continue to be I don't doubt that Deion can put together some good skill position talent. Are they going to be good enough in the trenches, and are they going to play good enough defense? And I'm just sort of in I need to see it before I believe it mode. Now, some of that too. If they get consistent quarterback play, obviously they didn't play a whole ton of defense or run the ball very well with Shedeur Sanders, but they had a great quarterback and they won 9 games. So if Julian Lewis really turns into that guy, maybe they don't need quite as much of that. Last year, really inconsistent quarterback play hurt them a lot too. But I'm seeing them picked 15th, 16th in the Big 12 right now, and even though I don't view them in a vacuum necessarily like a 3-win team again, but when you start holding them up to everybody else in the league, I am sort of I can see why you would predict them there.
So who is the candidate then to be the Arizona State from 2 years ago, and maybe not win the league, or Houston from last year to really climb the conference maybe unexpectedly?
I guess it depends on how you deem what you define unexpectedly as, because Oklahoma State, I think, is the easy answer. If you just look at pure what their record has been the last 2 years, they were so bad. And then they have debatably a top 10 portal class, depends on where you're looking. I think actually it wound up in the top 15 on 3, not the top 10. But they have a really good portal class. They have Drew Mestamaker. They have Wyatt Young. They have Caleb Hawkins, all these guys that would have been top flight portal additions anywhere, even if they were going to the SEC and Big Ten. They're going to play offense. Will they play enough defense is the question, but I think there's every reason to believe that they're going to improve by 5, 6, 7 games this year, perhaps. I don't know that I'm ready to go all the way to hey, I think they're going to be in the Big 12 championship game, but Wyatt Young himself in a Max Olson article brought on the Indiana comp, where obviously a lot of James Madison's roster followed Kurtz Ignetti to Indiana, and they had some immediate success. So they're not shying away from that. That's one team to watch out for. I actually think another team that has done some really nice work in the portal, and a coach that I think still does have some legitimate chops here at this stage in his career, is what Rich Rod is doing at West Virginia. Cam Cook is a guy to watch out for that I think will be one of the most exciting players in the league this year that they're bringing from Jacksonville State. And they have a quarterback competition going on right now. I know Scotty Fox still involved, the guy who played some last year, but they have Michael Hawkins, who got his start at Oklahoma, really athletic, the skill set that has typically worked well with Rich Rod throughout his career. And they really did turn over a bunch of the roster again in the portal, but I think they've become legitimately much more talented because of it. So I do have my eye on West Virginia as a team that could sneak up on some people this year.
He is the host of the Open for Business, a Big 12 podcast. He is John Kurtz, kind enough to join us, give us a little preview of Big 12 Media Days. John, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Hey, anytime, guys. Take care.
Thanks, John. There you go, John Kurtz. Fun to preview Big 12 Media Days, of course, starting tomorrow in Dallas, and then continuing on Wednesday, and we'll have a cover for you top to bottom. Right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. In fact, I was just chatting with Salzar about the plan. And, yeah, we're going to have everybody down there. We're going to have it all covered for you. We'll get all the local players, and we will try and bird dog as many of the other players and coaches as we can possibly get. Not that anybody cares about this, but the Big 12 is much less organized when it comes to their media days than the Pac-12 was, or even the Mountain West, I would say, back in the day that ran a pretty tight ship. The Big 12 does a little bit more of a scatter approach, where they just kind of release everybody onto the floor and you kind of go and get them. And it's a loose schedule, but it'll be a little bit more I wish we could tease a little bit better the times like we used to be able to, but it's a little bit more of go get that guy and throw him on. Here we go.
One thing that we implemented last year that we're doing again this year, I'm going to call it the Stone approach. One of our techs, Stone, he's like the head honcho now. Shout out to him. He's great. Not a sports guy. Not a Big 12 guy. So we literally print out headshots of every coach and player in the conference that's going to be attending. So he knows, they're like flashcards. He knows
you can get
who
after.
to look
Go
out
get
for.
it.
And you tell him, like, hey, there's Coach Fritz over there. Go get him. And he will go and hound dog him until Coach Fritz is on the air. And he did a tremendous job last year. Did so good that we're sending him back again because he did really help tracking people down.
Well, that dude is just good at his job, period.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
He is great. So that will be a great help to have Stone down there helping us get everything figured out. Interesting that John thought that the Sorsby's thing was still going to be, or was going to be, the buzz of Pac-12 media days. And I was talking to Tim about this a little bit. It's, part of being there that's fun. You do get to talk to the coaches and the players, but it's what is the buzz around the ecosphere? What is the buzz around the league? Last year the buzz was all about Texas Tech and buying a team and Cody Campbell, and is that going to work? Are they going to run away with it? And going to be the new big dog in the league because of all these resources. And then we saw that storyline certainly play its way out through the season. And I'm guessing that John's probably right, that the buzz around the ecosphere, if that's even a word, is going to be about Brendan Sorsby, even though he's not going to be there. And maybe, I was hoping that we could move on from this story a little bit and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But I think he's right with all the kind of relationship stuff that happened while that was all going down. Texas Tech really digging their heels in and going to bat for this guy in such a delicate circumstance. We remember back to that the call with the athletic directors, and Brian Santiago, the AD, obviously at BYU, came on our station the next day, and he said the right things, and we're on the same page, and everybody's going to be pulling in the same direction. But then you read reports about ADs really voicing how this wasn't going to happen, and you heard John there talking about how the Iowa State AD continues to go at not only Texas Tech, but continues to go at the SEC and goes at the Big Ten. Personally, I think that guy probably should shut his big bazoo. I don't think he does anybody any favors when he kind of is as vocal about it as he is. But, those relationships, I think, might be on full display tomorrow at media days. How is the contingent that Texas Tech sends down there? How are they going to approach it, and how are they going to behave? And they certainly, and I do feel bad for them in this way, they are going to have to answer questions about it all day long.
I don't feel bad for them.
The players, I do, because the players are going to be asked about it. They're going to be asked about if it's been a distraction, and
I guess
they don't.
That's true.
And they don't. But here's the problem, Christian, and this is funny, but there's so much like different media down there, and let me tell you about media types. We're not very smart, so it's not like you're getting unique, insightful questions from every interview that you do. You're getting the same questions over and over and over again in every interview that you do. So the, linebacker that gets sent down there from Texas Tech is going to have to answer questions about Brendan Sorsby the entire day. You know what I mean?
He knows what he's going to be asked about, so he's going to have his PR statement locked and loaded and ready to go on repeat all day.
I would think so, because They certainly don't want any controversy from media days because everybody's in a good mood and everybody says the right thing. But those players are going to get asked that over and over and over again. And I will be curious to what, the ADs say down there, who is made available, as you heard John say, like, is Cody Campbell himself actually going to be there and giving comment about not only Texas Tech and the Sorsby situation, but also the legislation that he is a big part of the effort to get out of Congress? There's some soap opera-y stuff. So we'll see how much we'll see how much that happens, and we'll see how much other schools actually comment about it because they're going to be asked about it too. That is for sure. All right, coming up next, we'll dive back into the NBA, some news and notes and some stuff going on out there. Some interesting rumors regarding LeBron James. So stay tuned. We'll talk about that coming up straight ahead on the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Not only do these guys give you the best Jazz coverage in the market, they've got you covered with the Mammoth, the Cougars, the Utes, and the Aggies. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your day. No matter how you may be absorbing the show, we appreciate you doing it. Maybe you're listening over the air on 97.5 or 1280 on the AM. Maybe you are streaming at KSLSports.com. Maybe you're streaming on the KSL Sports app. Maybe you're watching the show at KSLSports.com or right there on YouTube. Or shout out and a hearty hello to our friends from the future who may be listening on the podcast as well. Christian, we'll get into the LeBron stuff in the NBA here in just 1 second, but I watched the England-Mexico game and I watched the end, but I turned it off during the celebration. I just saw this. Jordan Henderson, who's only appeared in one game for England and did not play on Sunday, even though he got a yellow card for interference on the bench. But did you see him hurt himself? Hurt his wrist? Celebrating?
A little more than hurt. I think hurt is putting it lightly.
Well, he had to go to the hospital. We don't know how if he's going to miss any time or how much. I would guess it looks like he broke his wrist. He was celebrating with the fans, and then he was coming back and tried to get over. What do they call those, like advertising things that are on the side of the field? You know what I'm talking about? Those little signs that are like a triangle that stand there. He's trying to hop back over it, and he falls and catches himself. He tries to catch himself with his hand and breaks his wrist, or at least it would look. Where's Ben when you need him to talk about wrist injuries with his skateboarding past? Ooh, Isn't that the most common injury for skateboarders or roller skaters or rollerbladers or whatever the kids are into these days? Because you fall and then you catch yourself and break your wrist. Have you seen those wrist guards they have?
Well, yeah, and I've seen a ton of YouTube videos,
But, I mean, how stupid would you feel hurting yourself celebrating at the World Cup? Like, if he can't play in the next round, not that he would have played anyway, maybe, but it's like, hey, Dad, tell me about your World Cup run. Well, son, I got in a game, and they were making a run, and then I hurt myself like an idiot celebrating and had to miss the rest of the time.
And I got a yellow card before that.
Maybe we shouldn't feel bad for this dude. You ever hurt yourself celebrating?
I never had anything to celebrate. No.
Not in your illustrious athletic career?
No, not me. No.
I never hurt myself celebrating either.
That is it. That is the worst way to get hurt, though. Like, I remember even like Ronaldo's celebration where he jumps up and I don't even remember what it's called, but he like jumps up and then lands really hard. And people try to do that all the time and tear their ACL doing it.
Who was the idiot kicker that did it? Bill Grammatica or something like that? You should look it up for the Cardinals. He tore his ACL jumping around like a dumb kicker.
And that's why kickers shouldn't celebrate.
Kickers shouldn't be allowed to be on the team. They should the kicker should sit in the stands until they're needed.
You stay up there.
You stay up there and stay away from everybody else. And no celebrating whatsoever. If you're the manager of this English club, I'm telling my team, hey, if we win this next game, I don't want to see any celebration whatsoever. Players are dropping like flies over here. But I would feel really dumb as a world-class athlete, hurt myself trying to get myself over some advertising thing. Way to go. Have you seen that not that I care about the odds markets out there or whatever, but have you seen that they've taken a dramatic turn with a favorite for LeBron James services?
Still Golden State?
No. Now, I do find it funny because coming out of LeBron's camp, did you see that Rich Paul floated it out there? That
the whiteboard.
Yeah, that it has 10 teams on it. Sure it does, Adele.
Did you see the whiteboard?
I did not. Did it have everybody written out on it or what?
Well, it's just funny because it's like the murder movies, when there's like the suspect board and there's like all the lines connecting everything and all the evidence and information. And it kind of looks like that. I'll send you a picture. It's really funny. But it's got, the team name and then the pros of each location listed under it. And
they showed that?
Yeah, right. It's pretty... it's the most LeBron thing ever, right?
You owe me a like that on yourself.
Like that?
Sorry. It is the most LeBron James thing ever, if by that you mean horribly obnoxious.
Yeah, just look at me.
So everybody now is pointing to LeBron going back to Cleveland. That has become the overwhelming favorite out there is LeBron returning to the Cavaliers. And there's one reason why some people are thinking that. Do you want to know what that is, Christian?
Outside of him being born from, being from there?
Your guy, Jake Fisher, is reporting. Who does he work for again now?
The Stein line.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, Jake Fisher is reporting that the Cavaliers are keeping an open roster spot for Bronny James so they can lure LeBron in this offseason. Per the Steinline, quote, one conspiracy whisper making the rounds, they want to make sure that they have open roster spots to be able to trade for Lakers' Bronny James in the event that they are able to welcome Dad back as a free agent signee.
Also, how old... when is he going to start going by LeBron James Jr.? You can't go by Bronny forever.
Oh, you think that needs to be a coming-of-age thing?
Yeah, it was cute when he was a teenager or whatever.
I still call my cousin Danny because we grew up together, but in his professional life, he goes by Dan, one of those kind of things.
Or Daniel.
Uh-huh. That's not actually his name, Daniel, but yeah, I get your point.
Anyway.
So you think Bronny needs to start going by LeBron James Jr.?
Yeah.
Okay. I think he probably needs to improve at basketball. I do think it'd be funny having him backpack across the country with his dad, It would be like, oh, on Dad's team again. But this makes a ton of sense because what's the other report out there? That LeBron wants to have a camera crew follow him everywhere for a Last Dance-like documentary. And being the most LeBron thing ever, that dude is all about the narrative. All about the narrative. So going home to Cleveland, just a boy from Akron, that storyline. And then if he were able to put the Cavs over the top, which I don't think would happen, but imagine that, Christian. Imagine that documentary. LeBron goes back to Cleveland and gets them one more title before he retires and does it alongside his son. Now,
which is the funny thing compared to the whole Last Dance thing, right?
Uh-huh.
Why did the Last Dance work? Because they won.
Because they won. I wonder if it would have been as interesting if they did not win. Probably not. Although an MJ propaganda doc has the chance to always be entertaining. But LeBron James going to film it all. And imagine the storyline going back to Cleveland. That's not the Geezer Warriors. That's not a good storyline for a documentary. Playing alongside Giannis, that's not about LeBron. Going back to Cleveland, now that's all about LeBron. Now, could it have a fallout for the Jazz? Because if you look at that team in Cleveland, if LeBron goes there, they don't have a lot of shooting. And they certainly don't have a lot of shooting in their starting lineup. And there's some reports out there that maybe Cleveland, if LeBron came back, would be a little willing for spacing purposes to move on from Jarrett Allen, who I happen to think would be the perfect replacement center for Walker Kessler. Although his contract is reasonable now, it does blow up a little bit, but at no point is he making more money than Walker Kessler would have been. So if Jarrett Allen becomes available, I'm the Utah Jazz, I jump at that in a heartbeat. And there's some people talking that if LeBron were to go back to the Cleveland Cavaliers, that maybe they need a little spacing and to clear out some of that size, and they're probably not going to trade Evan Mobley. So
you're telling me that Danny/Austin Ainge might capitalize on a team making an incredibly stupid mistake? Go figure.
That's what I'm getting at.
Right.
To move on from a good center because you're bringing LeBron back for 1 year. But the hard part is, and there's been a lot of conversation about this on this show, but I heard Kurt Helin talking about it with Scotty G and the coach Tim LaComb earlier. But the market for centers right now is bananas, and thus the reason that Walker Kessler commanded the not only salary but the return for the Jazz being willing to do a sign and trade. So if in fact Jarrett Allen did become available and Cleveland did put him out there to be available, man, who knows what the price tag would be on that. I'll tell you, it'll be interesting to see what Jalen Darryn does with Detroit, because are there other teams out there that are still desperate for a center? You know, Sacramento and that whole thing comes to mind, that they're still willing to do something, because it seems like, I don't know, the market is a little slower on Jalen Darryn. So maybe it goes against the point I was bringing up. Maybe it is turning into a little softer market on centers, but we'll have to see. I do love me some Jarrett Allen. He would be a great fit next to Triple J and Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah, well, I do think if you're Cleveland and you do move on from him, you have to start with the baseline of, well, what did Walker Kessler get? Right? 2 firsts and 2 pick swaps. So I think that would be the starting point. And then, of course, as you mentioned, Cleveland would be looking for some shooting, some floor spacing in return. You've got to add some salary in there to match the salaries. And that's something that Ben has kind of brought up. Like, the Jazz don't really have those mid-level salaries to help match in trades. So we'll see. That could get really interesting if Cleveland does decide that they need/want to move off of Jarrett Allen. There are going to be a lot of suitors, and the Jazz would probably be right at the top of the list. And they do have these extra assets now from the Kessler trade that they theoretically could just turn Walker Kessler into Jarrett Allen without having to sacrifice much of their own stash.
You're right. This whiteboard, Christian sent me the whiteboard. Ridiculous. It is the most LeBron thing ever. Way to go. All right, we've got the audio vault coming up next. Don't forget, top of the 5 o'clock hour, we're going to go through all the post-game sound for the Jazz initial Summer League game that went down on Saturday, and the Jazz take on Memphis at the Huntsman Center tonight, starting at 7 o'clock. So you'll have a chance to hear from Cody Williams, from Steve Wojciechowski, Wojo, who was coaching on Saturday, and Darryn Peterson himself. So stay tuned for that. That's at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. But coming up next, we have the audio vault. Stay tuned. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Just top.
Evening. Buyer's remorse. Buy a new car? I'll be moving in. Let's get started.
Sorry, I think there's been a mistake. I bought it from Carvana.
You what?
Yeah, great price. I even have 7 days to love it or return it.
So there's no...
No buyer's remorse. More like buyer's rejoice.
I guess I'll let myself out. Congratulations. I mean it.
Buyers rejoice. Buy your car today on Carvana.
Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Jacob at 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Stay tuned. Got a big 5 o'clock hour coming up for you. We are going to hear all the Jazz postgame from their initial Summer League game on Saturday and a win over the Hawks. And then coming up at 5:30, we've got a conversation with Patrick Kinahan previewing Big 12 Media Days. Right now, though, it is time for the Audio Vault, the best sound of the day. Christian, were you dialed into the Mexico-England match?
I was. It was a really fun match. There was a lot of hype surrounding the Mexican team, after winning their first, knockout game in 40 years. So a lot of hype going into the match last night against England. Unfortunately for Team Mexico, they lost. I would have liked to see England lose on 4th of July weekend.
Oh, yeah, that would. I do. Man, that would, have you ever been at a stadium where somebody, like a team, takes an unexpected loss or even a drubbing, and the eerie silence and the deflated feeling of the home building?
Yeah.
I'm sure it was wild at the Azteca Stadium, and where the small patch of English fans are just going nuts and everybody else is just looking on in stunned silence.
Yeah, I guess Team Mexico had only lost at Stadium Azteca 2 or 3 times since it was built.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And it was built, I don't know, the stat I saw said it was built before we went to the moon. So quite old.
And the Mexican fans did find out where England, I guess, had changed hotels and did so in clandestine fashion because I guess the Mexican fans had been harassing the opposing teams.
As they should.
And they still found them. And they were still able to harass them late at night, which is kind of funny. But England overcomes. Oh, and did you hear that I had no idea. And hey, we're being mature on this show. Did you know that taking Viagra helps you with altitude sickness?
I had not heard that before.
I hadn't heard that either.
I'll have to look into it.
Man, I'd be worried about an embarrassing moment on television, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
A little bit, like...
Well, Chad Ochocinco said he would take it before football games.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I had no idea, but apparently that helps with altitude.
Just get your blood going,
Okay. Well, England came away with a win, and their star player, Harry Kane, scored a goal, right? Did he score the third one? Yeah, I believe he did. He scored the game-winning goal, and he gave an interview after the game, and his voice struggled a tad.
Well, Harry, huge congratulations. What a contest, what a win. But I just firstly wanted to ask you what's happened over there by the England goal, because there looks to be some concern.
Yeah, Jordan, my voice is gone. Henlo just fell over there. I think it's okay. Just something to do with his arm.
Okay, well, as for the performance, I think it says it all, the fact that your voice has gone. That was some contest to watch. What on earth was it like to play in?
Yeah, it was a crazy game. We had to fight. We had to find something. Yeah, I've just been singing there. I can't really talk, but all the occasion, the team, everything against us, we found a way.
I was going to say, is that what pleases you the most, the resilience today? Because even your penalty, a word on that as well, not the one you scored, the one you conceded. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I thought I got to the ball first. It was one of those days that the ref gave a lot against us. And in the end, it didn't matter. So, yeah, I'm happy.
What can this do for England going forward? You've got a quarter-final in Miami against Norway to look forward to. What can the England fans look forward to now?
Well, just look at them here. Incredible. Unbelievable support. Speechless. I can't even talk, so...
Go and rest that voice. Rest up. Thanks, Harry.
Okay, hilarious. But listen, okay, is this an unfair criticism, Christian? She's there to do the post-game interview. He's the star. I get it. It's a big moment. No doubt about it. Couldn't you just ask him a couple real quick? Do you need to ask him about his injured teammate and then 6 more questions when he's just dying his way through it? Couldn't you just ask him a couple and then when he's obviously struggling, say, thank you for the interview and let him go on his way? Am I wrong? Is that a fair criticism? I couldn't believe she went back for, several more questions. Yeah. Several more questions. Like, hey, this is an expose, Harry. I know you can't talk exactly, but you're going to answer my questions.
He should have just dipped.
Should have just gone, like, all right.
Marshawn Lynch, you know?
Oh, yeah. Just pulled a hide.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Darren Williams used to do that. He used to hide from the media because everybody would be waiting for him and he'd try to sneak out. So, yeah, good for Harry Kane for doing it, but she could have taken it easy on him and been like, okay, that's enough. How does it feel? Big win. Great for England. Tell us about it. All right. We'll see you later. And I'm so glad that this reminded Lloyd of this piece of audio that we're going to play because I absolutely had the same thought when we were talking about what to do for audio vault. Have you heard this before, Christian?
Lloyd previewed it for me. Yeah.
How about this? This is a guy calling a horse race that had a similar bout with laryngitis.
To travel in second place, Elia Rose on the inside, Linville Dainty. 1 out, 1 back, Leona Tejan on the inside, 3 back, Boober Alley Boy, and Harding coming 3 wide now. We're 1 step closer, just racing greenly at the tail end of the field. Heading towards the 600, second quarter, 32-1, 65 for the half. Now he goes full steam ahead, we're 1 step closer, and he goes forward 3 wide quickly. Going with the Elia Rose on the inside, Cop and Eiffel can't go with them. Then in turn behind those between runners were Leona Tejan. On the inside, Linville Dainty, and at the tail end of the field, we're looking about 5 or 6 metres to Boober Alley Boy. I think we're going here. In front, leading the way, it's Elia Rose. Leads by 2 metres in second placing. No, I don't think I'll get through this. Yatesy, where are you? We need you, mate. In front of Elia Rose. Down the outside. Trying hard, was 1 step closer. But Elia Rose wins. Second placing, Leona Tejan, I think, or on the inside, Cop and Eiffel.
Take a day off, dude. It's all right. Take a race off. You know what? It's not your day.
That one's hilarious because it gets worse the more he keeps talking. Like it goes more and more downhill. And he's clearly making it worse.
Just wait, Christian. You lose your voice on a Saturday morning and you've got to come in and bang out a Saturday show sounding like that.
Like that?
That would be like if Bob Costas showed up with his pink eye.
Exactly.
You know, it's slightly pink on his way in, and on his way out, it's just bloody and on its way out of the socket.
Excellent comparison. All right, stay tuned. We'll get you jazz sound from their post-game Saturday after they beat Atlanta in overtime. Of course, a huge game from Darryn Peterson. You're going to hear from him, Cody Williams, Wojo as well. That's straight ahead on the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports.
It's the best station, period.
Let's be honest. These guys have the best job on the planet.
You come to work in a frickin' bathrobe?
So if you're out there working hard, you should also expect your radio hosts to put in an honest day's work. So, of course, Jake and Ben are live at 5 with the biggest headlines and the best analysis in Utah. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. No Ben today. It is time for Not So Live at 5, and it's brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary, 1-855-TRAJAN-1, or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. We do have Big 12 Media Days starting tomorrow in Dallas. I am off to the airport to catch a flight to get down there to participate in all of our coverage coming up tomorrow. So in order to give me a little extra time to get to the airport, we're doing a couple of recorded segments to get you home today. Of course, the very most relevant stuff, which is the point of Live at 5, or in today's case, Not So Live at 5 as I make my way out to Salt Lake International. But the big story of the day, of course, the Utah Jazz. Coming off Darryn Peterson's Summer League debut on Saturday in an overtime win over the Hawks, 103-102. He led all scorers with 28 points, 11 of 21 shooting, and was just electric in his debut for the Jazz. And the Jazz are back at it in Summer League action tonight at the Huntsman Center, taking on the Hawks. And not the Hawks, the Grizzlies, Cam Boozer and the Grizzlies. So Darryn Peterson versus Cam Boozer tonight at the Huntsman Center, starting at the top of the 7 o'clock hour. But we thought we'd walk you through some of the post-game sound from their win over the Hawks on Saturday. We're going to hear from Cody Williams. We're going to hear from Steve Wojciechowski, Wojo, and his post-game as he's coaching the Summer League team. And we're going to hear from Darryn Peterson himself. So hang on. We're going to walk you through some of this post-game sound. PK is going to be on the show in the very next segment. Had a chance to talk to PK. Really interesting conversation previewing Big 12 Media Days as PK is making his way down to Dallas as well. But let's get to the post-game sound from the Jazz post-game in their initial Summer League. And let's hear now from Cody Williams.
One of the things that kind of stands out is the added strength, and that's been an incremental process for you. How's that been for you? Just steadily getting stronger as time goes on, and just what does it mean for you kind of going forward a little bit?
Yeah, I think, end of last season, met with the coaches, and that was the number one priority, just because it's going to allow me to do a lot of things that I do on the court even better, like guard multiple positions, play defense, get out and run, play through contact. So I feel like that being an emphasis of the summer has kind of helped raise other areas of my game. So, I feel on the court, I feel quicker, I feel stronger, I'm able to play through contact. I'm starting to learn how to impose my own will on defense and kind of just, keep getting stronger and using that to kind of dictate what I want the offense to do. So, it's just helped a lot of areas of my game.
What stood out to you about playing with Darryn and just seeing him on the court in a Jazz jersey for the first time?
Yeah, it's fun. It's awesome when you guys all get along and we're all happy for each other's success. And it's always good to see him, especially as, a rookie, first game, first NBA game, Summer League game, coming out there and just doing what he does. So he did it efficiently, and it's just, always fun to play with guys like that.
Building off that, Cody, you touched on a little bit, but how do you think you did his first game here?
Oh, I feel like I did good. Definitely, I think the biggest thing about this Summer League is just getting film and doing the stuff I've worked on all summer, and then getting the film from that and learning what I did well and what I can do better. So I feel like my defense was pretty good. I could take that up a notch as well. And then kind of offensively getting to my spots, playing through contact, kind of using my bumps to create space. And I feel like I kind of did that pretty well today, so just going to carry that into the next game.
Offensively, what are you focusing on?
Just playing my game, really. No, I feel like, I'm really confident in my mid-range, so finding different ways to get that, especially, coming season, it's going to be if I get a bomb or, money, 5 seconds left in the shot clock, being able to kind of get to my spot in the mid-range and, make a shot. I feel like that's going to be important this year, so being able to come out here and practice that and learn how to get to my spots and get to my mid-range, hit my open threes, being able to pick up the ball, go multiple positions. I feel like, this Summer League has really helped me establish that.
Cody, you mentioned everyone getting along. What can you tell us about Darryn's personality for everyone that kind of hasn't seen him or doesn't know anything about him? What have you learned over the past couple of weeks?
He's a smooth guy, really confident, he's smooth. He's a little low-key, but he, obviously has a great sense of humor. He just fits in really well with our program and our guys. So, it's always a joy to just be around him, on the court and off the court. So, great guy, class act, really professional, on time, shows up early, is on the court early, does everything he's supposed to do. So, just a great teammate.
Cody, you've been here for 2 seasons now. During this summer, how would you say you guys are trying to build a culture? What does that kind of look like as it translates also onto the court in Summer League as well?
I think one of the biggest things we're highlighting is defense. Especially with our numbers last year, we were either dead last or towards the last in a lot of defensive categories. So I feel like, they've made a real emphasis on defense being a part of this next year's team. So just being able to take that mindset in Summer League and apply it, so that way, come season time, I know what I'm supposed to do, and I kind of know the culture and identity that we're trying to build.
Cody, you had a couple nice dunks, especially the one coming down the lane cross and then
right in the poster. Can you just walk me through that play, and then just do you feel like your strength is helping you in those areas?
Oh, for sure. Just, playing through contact. I feel like when I get on the open floor in transition, I feel like that's where I'm most deadly. So being able to just get out and run and, push the ball, being able to get the ball in the outlet, run a transition or a fast break, I feel like that's one of my strengths. So, the lane just opened up and I took advantage of it. But, it just comes with being aggressive.
All right, that is Cody Williams. Cody was very good in his 34 minutes. He had 17 points, efficient, 8 of 13 shooting. Had 6 turnovers, which you don't love, but you love to see Cody make his presence felt. We talked to Tim LaComb about that earlier in the show. That was lacking in his game a little bit, the oomph. And as he gets stronger physically, you could really see that in game number 1. All right, let's get to the coach's thoughts in game number 1. Jazz assistant Steve Wojciechowski. Here's what Wojo had to say.
Coach, obviously, what are your thoughts on Darryn, and just what are your thoughts on just how you guys played overall?
I thought our guys played really hard, and I thought we played very good defense. I mean, we talked about transition and protecting our paint before the game. They had 5 transition points, and we outscored them in the paint 60-36. And so, defensively, I thought we were really good. We were connected. I thought our guys played hard. Offensively, obviously it's the turnovers are things we need to clean up, but some of those came late when I thought fatigue came into the game, and some of the ones that came early on outlets were just over exuberance. Like we were trying to make a play that wasn't necessarily there, and we were throwing outlet balls right to them. But overall, I was pleased with the way our guys played. In a short period of time, it's hard to get familiarity, but they controlled the things they can control, and which is competing, which is trying to play connected, and trying to win a game.
Love to get your overall thoughts about Darryn today, but also that first possession right when the game started, was the point to get the ball into his hands and kind of give him a chance to run, or was that just him?
No, we want Darryn to be aggressive, whether he's on the ball or off the ball, and that's one of the things that's exciting about Darryn. He's really good on the ball, and you can play him off the ball, and he's dangerous there. He's been an incredibly impressive kid. His maturity is well beyond his years, and the idea that these games are easy when the top picks especially haven't played since their season ended. That's a lot to ask. And I thought he played to his identity, which is a mature, really good young basketball player.
In the lead-up of this game, you had said that Darryn was everything that was advertised in the lead-up of the draft. Was this kind of what you saw in the background and in practices and in scrimmages for what fans kind of saw as the first glimpse of him today?
I think really good players rise. They meet the moment. And so, it's obvious in, 3 or 4 days of a short practice, you knew he was really talented. But I think the game even brought out more. And I was proud of how aggressive he was. We want him, and this group is going to need him to be aggressive. And that's the best way for him to learn, is by being aggressive, trying to make plays, and majority of the time for him they're going to work out.
How did you see Cody affect the game?
Cody's a different player. I thought Cody was outstanding defensively. He had some really good defensive possessions. He had some strong drives, and I thought he had some good rebounds as well. Cody can impact the game in a lot of ways, and we don't want him to think that scoring is the only way to impact Summer League. We want him to have his fingerprints all over the winning possessions, even if they don't end in him scoring. And I thought he did a nice job of that.
Kind of already hit on it, but Darryn only played in 24 to 26 games in his college career in very limited action. Was it kind of a motivating factor for him in heading into this game, just to kind of show fans what he was about, showcase that he could play a full game and all of that?
Yeah, I mean, that may be a better question for Darryn. But I think he was very excited to play, and he played the right way. I thought his defense was really good. Offensively, he had some huge moments and made some big baskets for us at times when we were struggling to score. And so I thought, for the first time playing since the NCAA tournament, I thought he was very good. And obviously a lot of eyes are on him, and he rose to the occasion.
I'm wondering how cautious you guys are being with Ace, and if that was kind of just precautionary, and if you kind of expect him to play day after tomorrow.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to Sports Performance. He wasn't back there, so I didn't. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait till Monday to get an update.
And then in general, thoughts on Ace when he was out there?
I thought Ace was good. I thought Ace has gotten better. And, it's hard when you don't have the ball in your hands in Summer League at times to know when your opportunities are coming, especially with a team that's really new and just playing together. But I thought he had some good reads offensively. I thought he had some forceful moves to the basket. But I was really pleased with his defense, and I thought he played a very good defensive game. And obviously that's been a focus of ours, and probably time for us to focus on offense a little more.
All right, there you go. That is Wojo. Let's move on to the headliner making his Jazz debut, Darryn Peterson. And I've been saying it throughout the show. It really felt like he played. He showed up. He cared. Like he had something to prove. Played with a chip on his shoulder. Todd, who joined the show earlier today, talked about how he's definitely got that dog factor, and that was on full display in Game 1. We'll see what it looks like tonight in Game 2 going up against Memphis. But let's hear what Darryn Peterson had to say after the game.
Darryn, how would you assess, your performance tonight, and what were you seeing? Particularly, down the stretch in those possessions?
I think I was pretty good. I feel I could help my team win. Happy we came out on top. Last couple possessions, I know I missed the box out, turned the ball over. I'm gonna have to watch it back, but got to be better at the end of the game. We had a lot of turnovers at the end of the game. We got to be able to seal the game.
Darryn, at the start of the game, first possession, you guys get the tip and then you get the ball. Are you thinking to yourself, I just see something and you drive for it, or were you instructed to kind of go to the basket?
Just a read. Yeah, I seen a bigger guy come out on me, so I tried to just attack him.
When you walked out onto the court for warm-ups, you had a standing ovation from fans, and there were fans chanting MVP and all these kind of things. What was it like just getting to play in front of them for the first time? It
was great. Kind of takes me back to the Kansas, just reminds me of Kansas a little bit, with a great fan base. And like I said in the media before, when I put on the uniform, it's not just for myself, it's for the fans as well. So happy to see me out there.
Darryn, with everything that's happened, getting drafted, all of that, I'm sure there were some nerves or something built up for it. Just how did it feel to go out there and finally play with Jazz across your chest?
It felt great. I said after the game, that was my first game since my last game in March. And that was also on my mind because Zubies was on the other team, and they beat us on that game winner. I don't know if you guys seen it, but that was on my mind. So, happy to get the win.
Darryn, you had kind of talked about you were itching to get back on the court and kind of prove yourself. Was that kind of a motivating factor for you heading into this game, and how did you kind of use that in your favor in your first game as a Jazzman?
For sure. I've been training super hard, manifesting this game since the season ended, my Kansas season ended. So to get out there and finally be able to put on a jersey and play again is great. And then on top of that, I got Jazz across my chest now. So it's a huge honor and privilege.
Darryn, you hit a three towards the end of the game that was just a little bit left of the top of the key, and you had a very similar shot against Texas Tech in a tie game. Is that a spot you like to get to in a moment, or is it just kind of what the game dictates? Take me through that kind of late game moment.
You're kind of just a game dictator. They switched. I had the same layup I had on the beginning of the game. I had him again, and I just thought score when I got him. So got one up, happy winning.
Playing next to some NBA guys on your roster, better spacing, bigger size, though. What did you notice in your first game?
First thing I noticed, it was like I'm tired. Like I was like the altitude was getting to me a little bit. I was tired, but yeah, like you said, more space. Also, how important scouting report is. It was important in college, but also like I got to be able to go out there and perform what we scouted and went over. So I got to be better at that. Those probably the main things.
Darryn, you kind of already hit on it, but you said the opposing team had a player that hit a game winner against you in Kansas in the NCAA tournament. How do you use things like that? How do you note-take things like that to kind of motivate you heading into these games? I mean, what is the process?
Like that? Like that?
I'm already kind of motivated going into the game. Just it's a basketball game. I'm a competitor. Every time I step out there, I want to help my team win. But I use that as a little bit extra just because he ended my freshman year. So I kind of use anything I can.
Darryn, what have your first days been like, just kind of on and off the floor? And, what are some of the things that have stood out to you? And, have there been any, signature moments that you've encountered that you'll remember going forward?
Yeah. First couple of days been great. Practice, going hard, competing every day. Leaning on guys like Keontae. He's been at every practice and been pushing me to do certain things and hold me accountable. Like I can't wait to play with him, play together. Then off the court, really just been with my dog. I don't really want something off the court. I don't got much time to myself no more. He got to be taken out and walked and stuff. I want him to have like a great life, so I've been trying to walk him and spend as much time as I can with him when I'm off court.
What's his name?
Denim.
Like the jeans?
Yeah, like the jeans. Yeah. It's crazy. The people were telling me at halftime, my alarm was going off on my phone. It said feed Denim. So yeah, I'm trying to get Dad of the Year. So yeah, I had that on there. But yeah, off court, just him really chilling and treatment and him.
Has anything surprised you with this, the week of practice, this game? Have you had a welcome to the NBA moment or anything that's kind of wasn't something you expected?
Welcome to NBA. I'd probably say these guys are a lot stronger, maybe. That was the biggest thing I noticed today. Also got to get used to the refs, the whistle. It's a different whistle. Those are the first things that come to mind now.
Darryn, you talked a lot during the pre-draft process about wanting to get back to showing your playmaking at the next level. Just how did it feel to have the ball in your hands so much this game?
It felt good. I feel like I know I had a lot of turnovers. Yeah. I got to be better with it. But it felt good. Got to take care of the ball, though. Can't have talk about that with Coach Hardy the other day. Live ball turnovers are bad, so we got to be better.
A scout I was talking to says it looks easy for you in terms of getting to your spots, creating your shot. Does that still feel pretty natural and pretty easy for you at this level?
I don't know. I train super hard to try to make the games easier for me, but I wouldn't say it's easy. I just try to find my spot. Like they said, I just try to find my spot and get it up or make a play, but I wouldn't say it's easy. Still got to work.
I know you've talked a lot about having conversations with Keontae, but quite a few vets are back from Bryce, Jaylen, Isaiah. What have those conversations been like?
Mainly just with Keontae, but those guys are at the scrimmage we had the other day, so they just basketball stuff really. We spent some time together at Coach's house, and we'll probably get together today for the 4th, but just been welcome and happy to have me, that kind of stuff. Only one that's been coaching me up is Keontae on court. Yeah.
There you go. That is Darryn Peterson, the Jazz rookie, 28 points in his Jazz Summer League debut on Saturday against the Hawks. All right, coming up next, we're going to play a conversation that I had with Patrick Kinahan, PK, going to be a big part of our Big 12 Media Days coverage. He's on his way down to Dallas. We talked to him about his expectations and what he wants to hear. We'll get to that coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Keep your wellness routine going strong all summer. Kachava's new travel packs help you stick to your daily ritual even when you're on the go. Just one packet of Kachava's all-in-one nutrition shake provides complete nutrition wherever you are. With 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, adaptogens, and more. Simplify your daily ritual. Go to Kachava.com and use code FITNESS for 15% off. That's KACHAVA.com, code FITNESS.
Best thing that's ever happened to you financially. Go.
Easy. Sold my car on Carvana. Amazing offer.
Really? I hit 200 on the scratcher.
Did the scratcher come to your house and hand you a check?
No.
How many scratchers did you hit to get that? I hit a button on Carvana.com once.
Okay, that's fair.
It's like the lottery, except you always win.
Not like the lottery at all, actually.
Exactly. Inexplicably good. Offers worth bragging about. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Big 12 Media Days is tomorrow and Wednesday. I will be down there. I'm catching a flight right after the show. Our next guest will be there as well, of course, co-host of DJ and PK in the morning, the one and only Patrick Kinahan. Hello, PK.
Hey, Jake. I'm really appreciative. I want to give a shout-out to Bonneville and KSL for the bosses for allowing me to charter so I didn't have to wait at the airport and all that type of stuff like you guys do.
Yeah, that's super nice of them. Well, they know where their bread is buttered. How many media days? I mean, you and I together have done how many media days for these local schools have you done now, PK? You've been at every one going back to the 90s probably.
Yeah, because you have to account for when I was exclusively a print journalist and actually one of the better, if not the best, print journalists that we had in town. So I certainly did that back then. But I think pretty much, at least for radio, since we started doing it, I know every Pac-12 won, and that started in 2011. And I haven't missed, the COVID thing, and they did some stuff by the phone. So that was something that didn't work there very well under the circumstances, but it was cool for the Pac-12 because we would go around to different movie studios that we would do, Warner Brothers and all the other ones that they had there. So you'd go back in the sets. So that was always entertaining. And then Universal, and I think they gave us passes because Universal has like a little Disneyland there, rides and takes you behind the scenes and all that. And I'd always bring my family. As you know, you spent some time with me at the beach.
Yep.
Over the years, I'd always combine it with a little beach time in my where I used to live down in that area. But, the last couple of years has been Dallas, did Vegas for a bit, and now we're at the Cowboys facility. And, I'd prefer it to be in L.A. or Vegas. But once you're there and it's go time, it doesn't really matter where you are because you're just bringing through a bunch of people. And everybody has optimism. Everybody's going to have a great season, if not a good season, every single one of those 16 teams. I can remember one time we were in Vegas, and right next to us was New Mexico back in the Mountain West days, and they were coming off like a 1-win or 0-win, and the radio station was next to us, and Ben Bagley and I were listening during commercial breaks, and they were convinced that team was going to get bowl eligible. And I'm thinking, you guys haven't got a prayer, man. I mean, it's one thing to be a homer, but it's another thing to be up in the night and not having realism. So the point is that there's a level of optimism that all the teams have.
And all the players, which of course is fun. Yeah, I've definitely cooled out with your family on the beach. Watched you do some fine bodyboarding, if memory serves. And
I love that.
We were not on the same station at the time when the first Pac-12 Media Day happened, but you were there and I was there as well. And Utah did not take a quarterback, but their quarterback going into the season was going to be Jordan Wynn. And I had, stood next to him. And then you go to that Pac-12 Media Day, PK, and do you remember the run of quarterbacks that came through that day? Well,
Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck, Brock Osweiler, who was like 6'9", and Nick Foles, who's also like 6'7". And I don't know if you had the same thought I did, but I remember thinking, wow. Utah they're going to have to step it up. This is a different level.
I actually had a coach on Utah's staff. I don't want to name him, and I won't name the players, but about once they started getting good in the Pac-12, he went through each of the players that they had starting for those first couple years and how small they were relative to Pac-12 and how much just in that 3 to 4 year period, just the physical style and nature and just the characteristics of the players were so much bigger that it was evident. And he literally went through, because we recruited to Mountain West. Now they did very well at the end there. They were a top team in the Mountain West, but even still when they made that transition, especially with the depth situation, it just wasn't there. And I can remember the first year ASU comes to town, and the Sun Devils, pretty much a middling program for majority of their time. The first several years in the Pac-12, Pac-10 then obviously was good, but then about 8 years in, and then the Cardinals came to town and they made a coaching change. They really struggled at that point, but they always had good receivers, and the receivers look like freaking Walker Kessler being guarded by you or me. I mean, it was just the physical size was so startling difference between the two. And the Utes now have been recruiting at a Power 4, Power 5 level for many, many years, so we don't see that anymore.
All right, so let's talk about the local storylines that you think are the biggest with the Utes and the Cougs. What are we trying to find out tomorrow about those teams?
Well, we'll go with BYU first because I think they're expected to be, if they did a poll, they would be a little higher. Not that the Utes are going to be low by any stretch, but obviously they've got a blow at receivers, right? We know the Kingston story, and we know the Cody Hagan story, and he retired from football, and I believe he got married and moved on with life, which happens. And, they lost Roberts, obviously, last year. Kingston was a really, really good player for them. There's no doubt about it. And he's got his legal stuff, and so be it with that. We'll see how that plays out. But, he's not expected to be there at the start, at least, if not the entire season. So they've got to find guys. Then they got guys, but guys need to step up. JoJo Phillips, you've been in the program now a number of years. This was presented to you. I don't want to say given because nothing is really given on the football field, but it's presented to you a golden opportunity to go ahead and decide to be the man, right? Now go ahead and take that. Now on the flip side, they've got some better tight ends. They got a little more depth at tight end, so they can throw the ball there. Bachmeier has got another year, so you would think that he would be better, more diversified. They wouldn't have to be as consistent or conservative. And the running backs, L.J. Martin, you can make a strong case for best running back in the conference. He runs so smooth. He's so unbalanced. It's like he glides. He doesn't really even run, right? And if he stays healthy, it looks like he's another NFL back, and he's going to produce minimum 1,000 yards. Health has got to be there, knock on wood for him. And then on the defensive side, they lose some fairly decent players, and certainly one very good player with Jack Kelly at linebacker. They got the Uvalde kid out of Cal, who's a local kid and came home here for the end of his college career. Glasker's a stud. He's been a stud now for a couple of years. And then they got Satawala, and Jay Drew had put out a story in the D-News a while back about him being injured. So we'll have to see about that. Offensive line, you got to replace a couple guys, but they've been able to move guys in there to get some experience, much like Utah. Utah has to replace the entire offensive line as we switch to them. But they do have guys that they were able to play and get opportunities. It's not like they're going to be making their first starts. I mean, most of those guys, the two studs, didn't play in the bowl game, and they destroyed Nebraska. So I think with Utah, it's a question of maybe you might say their bigger question marks. It's what's going to happen not off the field, but from the sidelines, because there's so much newness there. with the coaching staffs, particularly from the offensive perspective, right? I think Atawaya is the only returning running back coach there. Everybody else went with Kyle over to Michigan and received significant pay raises, so good for them. So how's that going to play out? But as you know, Jake, this is the year they got the best crop of receivers that they've ever had collectively, which I think is the 15th year in a row.
Yep, it's got to be a record. There's got to be some sort of I think you're right on the money with Utah. Well, and BYU for that matter. But Morgan and the change in the culture is the story. It's how much does it change? How does it change? I'll give you an example with the offense. Utah in the bowl game had a different ethos offensively, and I'm not talking about more run or more pass, but keep your foot on the pedal, which is something watching Witt for so many years. He just didn't want to do. In fact, I'll tell you, I covered the Oregon game where Utah blew him out right at Autzen, and after the game was over, I said, why'd you pour it on like that? Why'd you stay so aggressive? And he said, because we're playing Oregon. The Ducks can come back at you at home at any time. And I thought to myself, well, why don't you pretend you're playing Oregon every week? But I thought the bowl game, and it's one game, but it seemed like they were more willing to kind of pour it on offensively. And I wonder if that's one of those components that changes.
We shall see. Now, that was Jason Beck. Now they got the new coordinator. Devin Dampier's had 2 successful years, both with Jason Beck. I believe Jason Beck is a big-time up-and-coming coordinator, and there's going to be big things from him. We're going to hear big things from him for the next 15 years, probably, as he could very well find himself being a big-time head coach at one of these big-time programs. Not that Utah wasn't, but he was the coordinator. He's a guy on the come. Devin Dampier in the Vegas game, sitting in the press box and watching him survey the field, it's like he was unleashed. And he was healthy, because he had some time off between the end of the season and the bowl game. Reminds me of John Beck. John Beck's senior year was hurt, had an ankle injury, and was limited most of the season. And then he gets 4 weeks off, and they go down and play Oregon in Vegas and kick the crap out of him, only to have Mike Bellotti say, I still don't think they're a Pac-10 quality team.
Yeah, right.
Come on, Mike, you just got destroyed. And so I think we saw Devin Dampier. We certainly saw the best of Devin Dampier in that Vegas Bowl. I don't think that he was any better at Utah, maybe New Mexico, but take the level of competition. I saw him play in New Mexico several games. He went wild against Arizona in the beginning, but New Mexico didn't have much of a defense. They lost that game. So I'm expecting Dampier to pick up where he left off. And if he can stay healthy, he has an opportunity to be dynamic. He's probably not going to be an NFL quarterback because he's smaller. We understand that, but he's being paid millions now, literally, to be a college quarterback. And if he can stay healthy and be able to do the things that he can do, I really believe the Utes have an opportunity to be in the thick of things, even with all the change. And they did take a hit, some talent-wise. A couple guys, Johnson and Snowden, that were pretty good playmakers for them in the defensive backfield. They took off, transfer portal, and then you also have graduation and so forth. So they do have to reload. But the good thing, they're reloading at positions where they've largely been able to reload.
PK joining us, giving a little Big 12 Media Days preview. On the conference overall, PK, looking at Texas Tech, in fact, go back to Witt's first year ever, his first year. They're still in the Mountain West. And I remember they were overwhelmingly picked to win the league in, I guess it would have been 2005. And I talked to somebody up there who said, well, whoa, slow the phone, hold your roll a little bit, and then pointed out all the draft picks from Urban Meyer's final season that they lost. I mean, just legends, incredible players. With that in mind, with Texas Tech, they lose the number 2 pick in the draft with Bailey. Rodriguez was an absolute game-changing type of
soul, that defense, if not the entire team.
It's amazing. And so I get it. It's a new age, and you can buy players and Cody Campbell and all of that. But part of me feels like you cannot just simply lose players like that and just reload the next year. But maybe it's a new age.
Yeah, you can argue that so many of their players, I think, if I recall, in my studies of them last year, that 6 of the guys that they started on defense or received significant playing time were specifically brought in knowing they only had 1 year left, and Bailey being the top of them, and they had Romello, another kid at defensive line who was a draft pick. So they had 2 guys in, but they knew that they were just going to be one and dones. And I think they might have they had most of those kids got drafted, because I think they had 9 players drafted, and I have to double check the numbers, but 6 of them, maybe even 7, were defensive players. So that's a lot of talent to lose. And you look at the way I look at it, you bring up that Utah example, and that was 05. And in those days, kids stayed. They didn't move around. And look at those kids when it was 3 years later. Oh, they only went undefeated and beat Alabama, right? And not all of them, but a lot of them just grew up and became seniors. And then half of those guys on that defense went on to play in the NFL, right? So that was a really good defense that they had. So I get your point, but, you look at the transfers. And the great thing about with football, and you're seeing it a little bit in basketball, but I think especially in football, you can pluck kids out of the lower levels, right? Whether it's the Mountain West, whether it's conference, the AAC or whatever it might be, or even the Big Sky level. And there's players there that were overlooked for whatever reason. In football, it's hard. Jaylen Brunson talked about, I was short and I wasn't quick, but they couldn't judge my heart. Well, we saw what he did from the basketball sense, and I think from the football sense, you can do that even more. And with that in mind, I don't get caught up on where these kids are from. And if Texas Tech is evaluating these guys and bringing them in, that must mean that they're good. So to me, they're still the team to beat.
I want to know if you're going to rake Dilly over the coals like you did Herm Edwards a few years ago.
No, I love him. I'm going to kiss him on the cheek.
What's Arizona State looking like? Dilly's begging people to scratch checks, begging rich people to spend money, and did it work?
Yeah.
Still lost their quarterback?
They've got some people that are donating. Yeah, it's better. He'll tell you. He's honest in that regard. He'll say, yeah, we're a lot better. But when you get better, the teams that were better than you, this is going to sound twisted and jilted, they get more better, right? You see what I'm saying?
I do.
If I have $10 million and I catch up to you, well, by the time I caught up to you, you've surpassed the $10 million mark. So, and they lost, obviously, Levitt, and they had a 1,000-yard rusher who didn't do jack the year before, and he wasn't even the starter at the beginning of the season, Raleek Brown, and he ends up rushing for 1,000 yards. And as I said this morning, he's going to look great in his burnt orange uniform because he's playing for Texas. And Levitt left for money, so be it. They got a quarterback from Kentucky who has potential. The thing that if you want to look for what the Sun Devils can do, Dillingham has a way with quarterbacks because he was the coordinator at Oregon when Bo Nix went there, and Bo Nix was basically a salvage project. Well, then he turns into a first-round draft choice, working a couple years with Kenny D, right? So there's something there. So we'll see how that plays out. They had a decent transfer class. They don't return very many starters, less than 5 between graduation and transfers, but they had some young players last year. They recruited well the year before. And so it's the old Utah thing, next man up type thing. I think they'll be competitive. I think the days of them under the Herm Edwards, where they only win 3 games or so and they're an embarrassment, you cheated and still sucked. I think those are gone. I think they'll be competitive. We were doing the pregame show last year with you, me, and Alice Carey, right, for BYU Utah. And they were the only team to beat the Texas Tech Red Raiders in the conference, right? They got it done. Well, they had Levitt was there that game and Jordan Tyson. They got a couple of good receivers out of the transfer portal. And so I'm expecting them, if you just give them like an average amount of breaks to repeat, like at a 6-3, if things break their way and they stay healthy and they get some crucial turnovers, maybe they can go a 7-2. That's the beauty of this league is that they're going to be picked anywhere between I'd say 6 and 9, maybe 10. And on a given Saturday, if things are clicking for them, they can give you a tough time. And I know Utah doesn't play them, but BYU does in Provo, I believe. So we'll have to see how that plays out. I think it's right before Halloween. I think it's either on Halloween or the day before whatever that Saturday is. So I want to say the October 30th in Provo, if I remember correctly. I have to double check on that. So yeah, they're going to be formidable, as is Arizona. Fafita's a really good quarterback. If Fafita was 6'2", he wouldn't be at Arizona. He'd be in the NFL, but he's not. He's 5'10", and so the NFL frowns upon 5'10" guys, as we know. But he's good. Houston's on the come. Kansas State's got an overhaul with the coaching staff, but they got Avery Johnson back. And so he's going to be a fourth-year starter by now.
Right.
So they should be dangerous. TCU, I think, is always dangerous. Sonny Dykes' background, got to know him pretty good at Cal and read up on him. He's very good offensively, as is Rich Rod. Those are two what I would consider mastermind offensive coaches.
PK, you are the best. Thank you. And it'll be fun to do another media day with you starting tomorrow. I'm excited about it.
I just hope that in this little hit that we did that I wasn't too windy.
Oh, shot at Christian on the way out. I like it. Now, that is my type of interview right there. That's my type of way to go.
Just let Christian know that I don't mention him. There's two people I don't mention in my life. One is Herm Edwards, and one is your producer.
Hey, I don't blame you. Thank you, PK. You're the man.
Okay. All right. Talk to you tomorrow.
All right, bro. I'll see you down there.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye. That is the one and only Patrick Kinahan, big part of our Media Days coverage, as always. PK goes back, as we were talking about, covering these Media Days as a print journalist and a radio bozo, goes back to the mid to early 90s. PK has been a part of covering BYU and Utah in Media Days. Of course, he'll be live tomorrow morning from Dallas. And then Scotty G, coach Tim LaComb, going to be live as well. And then I'll be there to hold down the afternoon. And honestly, we'll all probably make appearances with the coverage throughout the day. So keep it tuned for that. Awesome that we get a chance to travel the staff down there and give the best coverage possible. So that indeed is what you're going to be getting tomorrow right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We'll have more coming up next. Stay tuned. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Queen Carvania stood haloed by the morning sun. An army hung on her every word.
My champions, I have sold my chariot on Carvana. 'Twas a lovely SUV, an inexplicably queenly offer. They're even coming to the castle to collect it. Tonight, we feast. An offer you can feast on. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
Not only do these guys give you the best jazz coverage in the market, they've got you covered with the Mammoth, the Cougars, the Utes, and the Aggies. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on the airwaves, talking sports. They got him made Jake's and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarves. Oh my.
It's the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. No Ben today. We're getting ready for our Big 12 Media Days coverage, getting started tomorrow in Dallas. We're rolling out. The staff is going down there. PK is going to be down there, of course. Scotty G, the coach, Tim LaComb. I'm headed down as soon as the show is over, jumping on a plane and cruising down to Dallas. Very excited. I didn't have a chance to cover Big 12 Media Days for the station last year. Did the year before in Vegas, but not last year. So I'm very eager to be going back again and to do it down in Dallas. And I frankly think we're headed for a really fun football season here with not only the Cougars, who are bringing back so many players, including the Bear, including the quarterback, high expectations down in Provo. But I expect really good things from Morgan Scalley and the Utes, bringing back the engine in that offense with the quarterbacks and the running back with Wayshawn Parker. I expect the offense to be a little unleashed. If the bowl game was any clue to how aggressive Morgan Scalley is going to be, you had to like what you saw there. And, I expect Utah to fill the gaps. We talked to PK earlier, or in fact in the last segment. Utah, some of their question marks are at positions where they're really traditionally able to reload. And certainly I expect the defense to be to not skip a beat, even though Morgan Scalley is not Kyle Whittingham. So all sorts of awesome storylines, both locally and with the conference as a whole. We'll be digging into all of it over the next 48 hours, which is super exciting. Utah is going to be in day number 2. BYU is going to be in day number 1. So they were even nice to us spreading that out a little bit as well. So next 2 days should be super action-packed as Big 12 Media Days coverage. And, of course, we will manage to try and slide a little analysis in on the Jazz Summer League tonight as Darryn Peterson and Cameron Boozer go head-to-head up at the Huntsman Center. That game tips off at 7 o'clock. So busy week. No off season on sports radio, not here, not anymore. Busy, crazy week in the NBA. And, of course, with college football right around the corner and media days starting tomorrow. So, busy 6 o'clock hour for you. Coming up next, it's the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.